had just awakened to the strongest hidden class in history, yet he desperately kept pressing the character delete button, hoping the game character could be permanently deleted. This turned out to be a holographic game that defied common sense. The in-game currency could be exchanged for real money, if lucky enough to get a mythical equipment drop. Selling it would mean never having to worry about food and clothing again. Even the ore mined in the game could be used for currency trading. Business-savvy players, by analyzing market supply and demand, could make a small profit by manipulating prices. So when the world's last gaming pod arrived, Jae-young eagerly logged into the game, using his usual name Dex. As Arcadia game started up, Jae-young was teleported to the newbie village. Though the Chinese server had just opened, how was the newbie village already so crowded? Here, team formation, power leveling, potions and materials, all kinds of trades were flourishing. And the first newbie quest was to defeat a slime. But it is quite difficult to perform precise operations in holographic games, so the game provided 3 basic skills for newcomers to help adjust their combat. However, the male protagonist Jae-young, known as the god of PC gaming, immediately displayed amazing gaming talent. Though Slash was the most basic skill, he used it like an Iaido master. Then came the second newbie quest, to read 100 books in the library. Most players would quickly skim through to complete the quest, but the protagonist spent 2.5 days seriously reading every book. This was one of his secrets to reaching the server's top rank in PC games. The NPC librarian laughed, thinking such people were just pretending to work hard to fool themselves. But when the protagonist finished the 100th book today, he asked the NPC for volume 2 of this book, because he found the key to becoming the top server in the book. However, after these words were spoken, the NPC seemed to be invaded by the highest authority AI. She unconsciously took out volume 2 from storage. But what puzzled Jae-young was, why was this second volume stored separately? The AI-controlled NPC smirked. This was a special book that only appeared when actively borrowed. Jae-young felt a hint of suspicion. Yet the moment his finger touched the book, the scene switched to the holographic game system interface. Inside, Alice, the highest AI, suddenly had countless pop-up windows appear around her. Newbie village hidden quest assignment conditions met. First designating this player as analysis subject, it turned out the first volume that Jae-young read contained the treasure story of adventurer Izel. Though the treasure's location was unknown, what could be certain was, this treasure originated from the most ancient trace of darkness, while the second volume that the protagonist just borrowed clearly marked the location of Izel's treasure. It was hidden at the bottom of a ruined lake in front of the newbie village. The next moment, the protagonist was teleported to the lake shore, but after observing for a long while, he found no clues. Then suddenly multiple pop-up windows appeared before him. Congratulations player Dex for triggering B+ rank quest search for the trace of darkness. Please follow the documentation to find the ancient trace of darkness at the bottom of a ruined lake and verify if the documentation content is true, Jae-young thought to himself. Currently, the highest quest difficulty in the entire server was only C rank. If he could complete this hidden B+ rank quest, wouldn't becoming server rank 1 be just around the corner? He leaped into the lake, but after descending 50 meters, he still couldn't see the bottom. How could such a small lake be so deep? As his diving attempts increased, his diving skill reached B rank. Not only could he dive deeper, his stamina also increased by 1 point, but Jae-young had already dived 200 meters without even seeing a shadow of the lake bottom. The exhausted Jae-young gazed at the setting sun, thoughts of giving up sprouting in his mind. Who would want to waste time here? It was the early server launch period. Other players were all busy killing monsters to level up, while he had wasted so much time improving his diving skill. Most importantly, the gaming pod's monthly installment of 920,000. Jae-young had planned to pay it off by selling equipment drops from the game, but the hidden quest was designed for him alone. Forget it. Just hope the hidden quest reward would be generous enough. After a full 10 days, Jae-young finally grabbed a necklace from the lake bottom. Was this the mysterious item Izel had hidden in a ruined lake? At the same time, a pop-up indicated his diving skill had reached a rank. Stamina increased by 1 point. Water attribute mastery increased by 10 points. Congratulations host for completing the hidden quest. Receive reward, the necklace of dark light. This item contains an unknown ancient trace of darkness. Think thrice before using. Jae-young smiled bitterly. The item description read like a threat. A pop-up asked, do you want to use the necklace of dark light? Jae-young decisively clicked confirm. The same pop-up appeared again. Jae-young clicked confirm a second time. Are you really sure you want to use it? Jae-young's finger was getting numb from pressing confirm, but the pop-ups kept trying to dissuade him. I've already said I want to use it. Why are there still so many confirmation pop-ups? The pop-up prompted again. I know you're frantically clicking confirm. Since I've asked to this extent, I can be sure you really want to use this item. Hope you won't regret it. From now on, just cause chaos to your heart's content. Like me. The ambiguous words made Jae-young shudder. Who exactly was talking to him? The next second, a huge pop-up appeared. Congratulations on changing to hidden class Bard of Anarchy. Your level system has been cleared, and you've gained a new stat, plausibility. New quest updated. The moment he saw the quest, Jae-young's heart sank halfway. While others' newbie quest was to kill 100 slimes, his newbie quest was actually to continuously kill newbie players for 7 days. Jae-young sighed, while desperately mashing the character delete button, but the pop-up prompted, game character permanently bound to hidden class. Character deletion failed. Jae-young's desire to delete his character had a simple reason. Because this hidden class Bard of Anarchy not only lacked a level system, but also came with such a bizarre quest. It's worth noting that the level system is the foundation of every game. Losing the level system meant being deprived of growth potential, though the impact on combat might be minimal at server launch. As time passed, an infinite gap would develop between him and other players. He started to regret when that jerk was spouting madness earlier. I should have stopped right there. Jae-young leaned back, gazing at the simulated sky in the game, lost in thought. Well, just waiting won't solve anything. It is a hidden class after all. There must be other uses. Afterward, Jae-young searched through the status window for a long time, but only found one difference from others. That was the addition of the plausibility stat. But what exactly was this thing's purpose? After his thoughts connected, a pop-up explained, plausibility is a consumable resource. The more points consumed, the stronger the host's ability to interfere with this world becomes, even to the point of distorting world rules. And to initially accumulate plausibility, you must execute the class change quest. So killing newbie players would affect the game's operation and naturally accumulate plausibility. Just as the protagonist was about to draw his sword, someone else was faster. What a pity, it could have been a fatal blow. 3 red named players approached the newbie, killing killing non-NPC players would result in red names. They said with hidden malice, "Hello newbies, I'm the owner of this hunting ground. You're hunting here without permission." Jae-young was bewildered. The game just launched and someone's already claiming territory in the newbie village? Then the red-named players threatened, "From your accent, you must be from S City. And you were just chatting about mock exams. Must be students. Just by checking your usernames, we could quickly find out where you live. So if you don't want to get killed, get out of the grinding spot now." The student immediately called for help from nearby players, but was met with indifferent glances. The student tried to argue, "This is just a game. Is it necessary to go this far?" The thugs paused for a second, then burst into laughter. "You're right. Games are great. There aren't any legal constraints. In this world, isn't it just the strong who rule?" There was a sudden swishing sound. The thug's lower leg suddenly separated from his body. As Jae-young opened his stance, "Though you're a thug, I think what you said is quite right." One/skill after another was precisely released by Jae-young. The flowing operation seemed to have a taste of human-machine unity. 3 level 12 red-named players instantly died and were forcibly logged out, and at the moment the protagonist unsheathed his blade. His ID in the newbie village would never be green again. Pop-up prompt, "Congratulations on gaining 3 points of plausibility." Just as Jae-young had guessed, each kill provided 1 point of plausibility. Though he didn't know how to use it, collecting it wasn't easy. At this time, the student beside him seemed to have found a savior. "Thank you for saving us. We really don't know how to repay you." But Jae-young's gaze was indifferent. "Nothing to thank me for. After all, I still have to kill you." "Student, don't be too sad. Like you said, this is just a game." The next second, 2 student players were killed by Jae-young's single sword strike. Plausibility increased by 2 points. Jae-young turned to glance behind him. His lips curled into a cunning smile. "Very good. Now it's your turn, you who were watching from the sidelines. You shouldn't have any complaints, right?" After a dozen screams, the entire forest fell silent. From this day on, a rumor spread on Arcadia's official website. A true madman had appeared in the Chinese server's newbie village, and night was the most efficient time for newbies to hunt slimes in the forest, but it is also the fastest place for Jae-young to hunt newcomers. To make the holographic game more realistic, character visibility at night was very limited, and when characters tried to escape, being tripped by stones would trigger a movement speed reduction status. And this newbie player at this moment was no longer a hunter, but prey being hunted by Jae-young. The danger hiding in darkness was often the most lethal. After several days, newbies who saw Jae-young all felt a sense of terror. Now the roles of hunter and prey were no longer fixed. The fear of being hunted permeated the entire forest. The newbie couldn't understand why this black-robed player was targeting them. The only response they got was that swift and decisive sword swing. "You do this during server launch. I don't believe the game company won't intervene. I will definitely report you on the official website." Jae-young suddenly stopped his raised greatsword. "Hey, you fellow." The next second, Jae-young righteously declared, "Don't you know who ordered this?" The green-haired player instantly choked. Before he could think, his character's head was separated from the body, forcibly logged out. "Congratulations on eliminating a newbie. Gained 1 point of plausibility." Jae-young coldly stared at the accumulated plausibility points, then turned and yawned. Hunting newbies day and night was quite mentally exhausting, while Arcadia's death penalty was a 24-hour login restriction. At this moment, in Arcadia's game official customer service department, hundreds of customer service phones hadn't stopped ringing since morning, and all player complaints were about the same person. The team leader announced with a dark face, "Everyone works overtime today, must properly pacify the player's emotions." At this time in-game, Jae-young had been hunting for 2 days and 2 nights. "Up until now, my plausibility has reached 1025. Speaking of which, is it really okay to hunt newbies like this? And it was officials who gave me this kind of quest. Though the quest still has 4 days, is their game operations department really not having problems? Well, it has nothing to do with me anyway." Just then, a whimpering sound came from the forest. Slimes gathered in groups approaching Jae-young. The next second system prompted, "You have saved slimes in crisis. Your intimacy with the slime race has increased." The next moment, the surprised Jae-young was submerged by the friendly slime squad. Jae-young was quite enjoying it, though I'm not welcomed by people. But getting along well with you guys isn't bad either. However, several torches suddenly appeared in the dark forest, because Jae-young heard some player voices. He gently stroked the slime's forehead, saying, "Little ones, you should run away first. It turned out to be yesterday." Green-haired victim returning with dormits. After patrolling the forest all night, they finally saw that familiar figure. Brothers attack, it's this black-robed man. To buy time for the slimes to escape, Jae-young kept running in the opposite direction until he saw a glimmer of dawn ahead. When he arrived, he found this side was actually the edge of a bottomless cliff. 5 players immediately blocked his escape route. Green hair smugly said, "Like a fish in a barrel, why aren't you running anymore? Kid, watch how I'll humiliate you later." But Jae-young smiled contemptuously, decisively fell backward toward the cliff. Just like that, choosing to jump off the cliff under 5 people's shocked gazes. This madman has really gone mad. But Jae-young, who jumped off the cliff, suddenly had a weird smile appear at the corner of his mouth. The next instant, he clicked the logout button, safely logging out. The next morning, videos about the madman flooded various video websites. All netizens engaged in active discussion. The online discussion naturally included keyboard warriors. And since being hunted by the protagonist, Green Hair had been following the official website, discovering over 700 such reports. So he decided to organize an anti-hunting action. If players were interested, please wait in the channel he created. Just minutes after the post, more than a dozen players who had grudges against the protagonist gathered in the newbie village square. Green Hair announced, "From now on, we'll launch the operation to eliminate the troublemaker." But just as the operation was launched, it triggered a village-wide quest in the newbie village. The same quest pop-up appeared before all players in the newbie village. It turned out that Arcadia's holographic game's greatest charm was being able to generate plots based on user behavior, not just information within the game. It would also capture online discussions and stories and realize them in the game. And it was all thanks to the game's AI brain, Alice. Main storyline quest, the Stirring Dark associated quest activated. Quest notification. All players in the newbie village, please capture the mysterious newbie serial killer. After sleeping for 12 hours, Jae-young finally woke up. But as soon as he opened Arcadia's official website, his face immediately showed an indescribable helplessness. Official special event. Please capture the killer. And there were over 2,000 comments below. I've made 2,000 enemies after just one sleep. Should I give up the newbie hunting quest? Glancing looking at the gaming pod bought with a high installment plan beside him, 920,000 monthly installment. How am I going to pay it now? So Jae-young logged into the game. Looking at the slime habitat in the forest, he sighed. This was the best place for hunting newbies. Just then an injured slime approached him. Seems like adventurers had chased it. I told you not to choose the mage class. Even chasing an injured slime is difficult. But when the two newbies found the slime, they discovered a player standing beside it. The warrior advised, "Uncle, this is our prey. It's not ethical to steal monsters." Jae-young glanced at the slime. Seeing its pitiful eyes, his gaze immediately turned cold. He pulled up his hood and walked toward the two. "Uncle, do you want to fight with us?" The mage suddenly felt familiar. This guy's appearance looked very familiar. Seeing the protagonist not stopping, the newbie warrior immediately pushed him, but the protagonist remained silent at this moment. The next second, Jae-young smiled evilly because of actively attacking a player. The system gave the newbie warrior a red name penalty. Jae-young took this chance to lie on the ground acting hurt. "Brothers in the forest, come out. I'm done for. The official website's killer is right in front of me." The next instant, thousands of eyes looked toward the source of the sound. That desire for activity rewards was displayed to the fullest. Just as the red-named warrior was about to explain, Jae-young had already escaped with the slime. The newbie mage's mind finally cleared. "I was wondering why this black-robed man looks so familiar. He's the newbie killer posted on the official website." But by the time he realized, it was too late. The entire cliff edge suddenly erupted in brilliant flames due to the conflict. On the other side, Jae-young escaped into the deep forest with the slime. "Little one, you're finally safe now. Your wounds should heal automatically, right?" Just then a pop-up prompted, "Congratulations on saving the slime. Your intimacy with the slime race has reached maximum. Obtained title, Slime Chum." As expected after all, Jae-young had killed over 1,000 newbies in the slime habitat. Just as Jae-young wondered, what use was there in getting maximum intimacy with just a level 1 slime race? Another pop-up prompted, "Plausibility accumulation has reached minimum threshold. You have established a cooperative relationship with slimes. Can consume plausibility to help the slime race." What does help mean? He stared at the slime's information window, pondering for a moment, then looked at his own 1,025 points of plausibility. An evil idea suddenly sprouted in his mind. This game is really too crazy. So-called plausibility can actually be used like this. The next second, Jae-young clicked confirm, using all 1,025 points of plausibility, using his character's hidden class Bard of Anarchy as a medium, then injecting all plausibility into the slime's body at once. The next instant, golden light shooting straight to the sky illuminated the entire forest. Pop-up prompt, the slime race's base abilities have been completely altered. All slimes in the newbie village upgraded to level 15. It's worth noting that monsters are indispensable elements in the game. Newbie monsters are commonly known as whetstones for newbies to practice. However, while a level 1 newbie has 100 horsepowers, a level 15 slime has 150 attack power. First-time players always wanted to go tease them. After all, in newbies' eyes, slimes were the best practice targets. Who knew these innocent-looking slimes would become ruthless? A level 1 newbie just being touched by a slime instantly died on the spot and received a 24-hour login restriction penalty. From then on, the entire newbie village fell into chaos. The roles of hunter and prey permanently switched. The targets of encirclement were no longer slimes, but newbie players. But this was exactly the scene the protagonist wanted to see, because every time his empowered slimes killed a newbie player, he would receive 1 point of plausibility. And due to being strengthened by plausibility, the slimes that originally only attacked players when injured now actively began hunting newbies, and the slime's attack characteristics would all transform due to being strengthened. So Jae-young began to ponder. Then his plausibility, true to its name, could it be a value that overturns game possibilities? Perhaps this ability was more complex than he imagined. But thinking again, isn't this just my fun in the game? In just 2 hours, the slimes he strengthened had killed over 3,000 newbies, and 3,000 points of plausibility came in. This efficiency was 4 times what Jae-young had before. It seems the quest to kill newbies was meant to tell me to keep strengthening slimes, then rely on them to gain large amounts of plausibility. But when Jae-young tried to use plausibility to strengthen slimes again, the system suddenly prompted enhancement failed. Well, current efficiency is quite high, so little ones, I'll leave the brick-moving task to you. Meanwhile, Arcadia's plot planning team finally exploded, but the department head believed that the situation in Arcadia was definitely not a system error. After all, this was a world calculated by cutting-edge modern technology. Everything was going according to plan, so he decided to verify personally by logging in. Level 3 authority confirmed. Authority executive identity authentication successful. Access granted. But the department head didn't enter Arcadia's game world. Instead, came to question Alice, the game's AI central brain. On the other side, Jae-young logged into the game, planning to go online to check his harvest, but found the slime forest completely empty. Pop-up prompt, accumulated newbie kills 9,640. Jae-young was clearly unsatisfied with the result, probably because the internet was spreading that the newbie village was dangerous. It even attracted level 15 plus adventurers to the newbie village to hunt slimes. In any case, the dividends had disappeared. Though the value growth slowed, it hadn't completely stopped, until Jae-young's kill count reached exactly 10,000. Pop-up prompt, congratulations on eliminating 10,000 newbies. Obtain title, newbie killer. Congratulations on exceeding the set quest reward range. Early settlement of midterm reward chest. There's such a good thing? Quick, let's see what's in the chest. After Jae-young clicked to receive the chest, a dark power suddenly burst from the chest. Extremely terrifying pressure swept over. As a black dot appeared, the surrounding space began to crack and disintegrate. Could the reward be this black sphere? A crack appeared in the center of the black sphere. The next instant, the crack tore the black sphere apart. Destructive force spreading in all directions. Pop-up prompt, midterm reward settled. Congratulations on obtaining familiar. A demonic shadow emerged from the crack, that innate killing intent causing instinctive fear. His deep hoarse voice couldn't hide the evil and cunning on his face. Who are you? How dare you summon me? Every cell in Jae-young's body became joyful. What kind of being with such pressure have I summoned? Seeing the demon's ID, Jae-young's pupils constricted. The arrival was actually Satan, the Lord of Chaos. Satan contained maintained his aura and smiled wickedly. Sure enough, couldn't summon my complete form. But this will do. Just this much power is enough to exterminate those angel bastards. But when Satan saw the human before him, the air suddenly went quiet. What the hell? Why am I in this form? Being so small is simply insulting to me as a demon king. Satan didn't know that this summoning would change his fate. Jae-young was also confused. I just opened a game chest and received you. And the game says you're a summoned familiar. Satan was dumbfounded. I, the mighty demon king, actually got contracted as a familiar. This madman actually threw me over here without discussing it with me. There's still a pile of things waiting for me to handle in the demon realm. Jae-young sized up the frustrated demon before him. Is this guy really Satan the demon king? Satan muttered. It's almost over and still doing this kind of thing. Annoying enough. Human, listen well, no matter what. I am now forcibly contracted to serve you. I'll be working with you for some time. Since I'm here, I'll make the best of it. Please take care of me from now on. At this time, Satan suddenly sensed Jae-young's ability, immediately examining him with great interest. Jackpot, jackpot, kid, you actually have this kind of ability. Jae-young was also puzzled. At this time, a pop-up prompted, you can consume plausibility to utilize your familiar's power, but please be careful not to be deceived and exploited by the demon. Satan began negotiating with Jae-young. You possess the power to overturn rules. If you're willing to give it to me, I can fulfill all your desires. Jae-young suddenly thought of plausibility. Could this guy be craving this value? And his talk about overturning rules, could plausibility actually have such wonderful uses? Satan confidently said, anyway, a human like you has limited use of this power. Combining Satan's words, indeed, as he said, upgrading the entire level 1 slime race to level 15, in a sense was also overturning rules, but when I wanted to strengthen the slimes again afterward, I couldn't go any further, and even a demon king level being coveted this value, seems plausibility is a special element. If I give you plausibility, what can you do for me? Satan casually waved his hand, opening an array made of ancient patterns. The next second, a purple-black cloak appeared from thin air. Pop-up prompt, level 150 equipment Nargil's Lament, can protect the user from fatal strikes. Crazy, truly crazy. Our country's server opened later than other servers, the global level ranking first was only level 50, and because I changed class and have no level system, I probably can't even equip this thing. But Satan interpreted it as, sure enough, this little thing can't satisfy you, after all you're a human contracted with a demon king. At this time, a light flashed in Jae-young's mind. Though he didn't need equipment, he currently had another problem. Can you help me strengthen monsters? Satan was quite puzzled. I'm already a demon king. What monsters do you still want to strengthen? Slimes, can you help me strengthen slimes? That's too low class, you human. Then Satan laughed maniacally. Truly a madman I've never seen before. There's no such thing as impossible in my dictionary, so how much plausibility are you planning to pay me? The scheming Jae-young smiled flatteringly. All of it. Straightforward enough. Since that's the case, contract established. An ancient dark magic array 10 times more complex than before spread under Jae-young's feet. Pop-up prompt, quest, kill newbies updated to quest, Wrath of the Slimes. Quest time reset to 7 days. Destructive lightning descended from the sky above the deep slime forest. The ground began to crack and disintegrate. The slime race in the forest suddenly went berserk, their inner hatred aroused. The entire race turned dark. Players were scared witless, could only watch helplessly as countless slimes approached them. They thought they were doomed, but the charging slimes suddenly converged in one direction. After all slimes reached the designated spot, they began to completely liquefy, all to give birth to a great king who could lead the race, the server's first level 100 Lord class boss. The Slime Queen was thus born. At the same time, all players in the newbie village received the same pop-up. Slimes are the most peace-loving race, yet inexplicably suffered players' abuse. After countless times of endurance, they finally erupted. Some players who just had their 24-hour death penalty lifted, just logged in but were sent home again. The protagonist looked at the Slime Queen born because of him, immediately bewildered. Little Satan, what exactly did you do? I only asked you to help strengthen slimes, didn't ask you to help create a boss. Demon King Satan explained proudly, I just awakened their hearts of revenge. To think it produced such an effect. Creating a monarch was their spontaneous behavior. And of the over 8,000 points of plausibility you gave me, I didn't even give 3,000 to the slime race. Jae-young kept quiet, thinking to himself, just this amount of plausibility could evolve an unremarkable race to this degree. Seems this is the true power of plausibility. And the entire newbie village because of the Slime Queen's appearance. Everyone was forced into a bitter battle against the Slime Tide. At this time, all players in the newbie village received the same quest. Main storyline quest Nascence of the Forgotten Darkness. Launching associated quest Wrath of the Slimes. And the victory condition was to defend the newbie village and defeat the Slime Queen within 7 days. If the newbie village's guardian stone was destroyed, then the quest would fail, and the newbie village would be permanently destroyed. But looking at the server's first level 100 Lord boss, the newbies were all terrified. But seeing the chaotic newbie village, the protagonist Jae-young decided to hold his actions. Then Satan reminded, Master just needs to secretly destroy the guardian stone. Wouldn't everything end then? But Jae-young's response was to wait and see. Satan began imagining, could you be planning to break the crystal at the last moment of the countdown? This guy is almost half as evil as me. Actually not, because ever since the Slime Queen appeared, Jae-young's system pop-ups hadn't stopped. Congratulations on killing a newbie. Gained 1 point of plausibility. In just a few short minutes he had accumulated who knows how much plausibility. But Jae-young also needed to make a decision now. So between players and monsters, which side should he stand on to gain more benefits? At this time, the company's internal personnel were sitting in the conference room watching this battle, and the level 100 Slime Queen. Her skills included Monarch's Roar and the never-before-seen jump, but her special trait was endlessly creating kin who despised players. The director immediately erupted in anger. We should take the server offline immediately, and how could a level 100 monster appear in the newbie village? Even the chief designer said she had never designed this monster. We must protest to headquarters. Their hands-off policy is an abuse of authority. The team leader fell into deep thought. First, the main storyline was suddenly triggered, then the inexplicable killer quest. Finally, the Wrath of the Slimes even became a decisive battle for the newbie village's survival. Could this really not be a bug, but rather triggered by some players' behavior? After all, Arcadia was itself a game of infinite possibilities. One sentence instantly made all team leaders fall into contemplation. After all, from the generated log analysis, the quest triggering was quite reasonable, so the team leader decided, no matter what kind of punishment this quest contained, perhaps it was also a reasonable calculation by the AI brain Alice. However, on the battlefield against the slimes, some players accidentally protected an NPC guard and triggered a hidden class quest for the savior. It seems the slime's rage brought not only fear, but also many hidden treasures, and the condition to achieve class awakening was to stop the slime queen's rampage. Thus, the assault continued for 3 days and nights. With half of the 7-day time limit already passed, some newcomers quit the game after being devastated by slimes. But there were also experts in the Chinese server. Those high-level players heard the rumors and joined the assault one after another. The high-level players formed special action teams. When a character hunts over 10,000 slimes, they'll wear the most dazzling green title, Slime Slayer, dealing 40% extra damage to slimes with 30% damage immunity. As more and more players obtained the title, the slimes began to lose ground, and seeing hope, the newbie players logged back in to rejoin the battlefield. Players finally saw a glimmer of light in the darkness. However, the protagonist who had been watching from the shadows had now accumulated terrifying plausibility. The pop-up showed, "You have eliminated 32,576 newbies, with only a day and a half left on the mission timer." Even Satan couldn't help but praise, "Eliminating 30,000 people, now that's a real battle. Not bad, not bad. Only such an evil human player is worthy of becoming the Demon King's contractor." Looking at the remaining 20,000 plus plausibility, the protagonist fell into contemplation, wondering how to maximize benefits next. Satan was right. If they continued to stand by, the human players would likely win. After pondering for a moment, the protagonist's lips curled into a sinister smile. If that's the case, it wouldn't be interesting. So Jae-young once again donned his cloak to hide his identity. Satan noticed the bloodstains on the cloak, wondering what kind of person he used to be. However, Jae-young muttered to himself, "If I have to take a side anyway, I won't just watch anymore. Instead, I'll stand with the slimes." He had already planned everything in his mind, only this way can I maximize my benefits. Meanwhile, the director arrived at Arcadia's headquarters. "Please stop the assault mission. President Myeon Lee, I beg you." Obviously, President Myeon Lee didn't agree, because the newbie village slime assault was reaching its end. There wasn't a single slime in sight in the village, and only 10 minutes remained until the assault's end. After all, they couldn't break through the defense line formed by our country's server's experts in a week, so no miracle could happen in the last 10 minutes. And in 10 more minutes, I can class change to the hidden savior class. However, just when there were exactly 10 minutes and 0 seconds left in the assault, the sky above the newbie village suddenly turned blood red. The protagonist Jae-young appeared in his black robe. "Well then, Slime Queen, let's begin together." During the previous 7 days, Jae-young had lazily earned 10,000 plausibility through the slime assault, but these clearly couldn't satisfy his ambition, so he placed his final bet on the level 100 boss Slime Queen, attempting to make one last harvest for the next 10 minutes. All newbies could only spend their time in extreme fear. Wherever the Slime Queen passed, waves of newbie players would die instantly. She would occasionally split off some slime soldiers to participate in the massacre of new players. That fear of death finally exploded in the newbies' hearts. Some brave souls tried to awaken everyone's fighting spirit, but before they could finish speaking, they were killed by the Slime Queen with a single slap. However, the Slime Queen wasn't completely invincible. The strongest adventurer in the Chinese server opened his mic and shouted, "Everyone just hold on for 5 more minutes and the assault will end." The newbies heard this and thought it made sense, because as long as they could hold the Slime Queen's aggro and prevent her from destroying the Guardian Crystal, this battle would end in victory. Encouraged by the server's top player, the newbie players began to shout, "Even if we die, we must live up to these 7 days of effort." Then the newbies formed unified ranks, attempting to use human wave tactics to block the Slime Queen's advance. Countless players fell in the process, until there were only 10 seconds left in the assault mission. The Slime Queen still hadn't reached the Guardian Crystal's destruction range. In her rage, she affected innocent bystanders. Thousands of players were disconnected by the Queen's slap. However, with 7 seconds left in the assault, the server's top player decided to act. He emptied all his mana, channeling all damage buffs into his great sword, then leaped towards the Slime Queen's head. But the next second, the Queen's casually activated shield sent him flying hard, but now only 3 seconds remained on the countdown. The server's top player laughed triumphantly. "We are the final victors. The newbie village cannot be permanently destroyed." The heavily wounded top player fell near the crystal pedestal. 1 second left. It's impossible for a miracle to happen, but half a second later, the Guardian Crystal suddenly shattered. His pupils contracted as he turned to look, only to see a black-robed player had thrust his sword deep into the crystal. This scene would haunt him forever. Yet protagonist Jae-young explained cheekily, "Sorry, my hand slipped." At this moment, a server-wide announcement. The village's Guardian Stone has been destroyed. Guardian mission failed. The newbie village will be permanently destroyed. The server's top player turned pale. He could never have imagined such an ending. After pulling out his great sword and completing the mission, Jae-young sighed, "Thankfully I didn't waste any opportunity to accumulate plausibility." By the time other players arrived, it was too late. The black-robed player stood on the shattered crystal platform, seemingly gloating over his achievement. As expected, Jae-young was bombarded with insults and trash talk, but he merely smiled contemptuously at this. "You still have the mood to say such things?" A pop-up notification showed the newbie village had been permanently destroyed. Then the Slime Queen's body transformed into a purple-black orb of light that exploded in the sky. Countless slime particles rained down on every corner of the newbie village, while the falling green slime particles slowly floated upward, gradually gathering into sphere after sphere. These slime particles couldn't be condensing into slimes, could they? You know big monsters can't spawn in the newbie village. 3 lightning bolts as thick as pythons struck the newbie village. When the slime particles scattered, 3 level 80 giant slimes were spawned on the spot. A pop-up notification announced that the once despised slimes had achieved final final victory in their brutal struggle against humans, successfully driving out all humans. The next second, the level 80 slimes roared, but the slime generation wasn't over, because they finally had their own monarch. The level 100 boss slime queen had finished spawning. Even Jae-young couldn't help but praise how cool it was. At this moment, the newbie village was no longer human territory, but had completely changed into slime territory. At the same time, all players received a notification. You have entered a level 80 hunting ground. Please be extremely careful. But before these level 1 to 15 players could leave the area, they were surrounded by level 80 slime soldiers awaiting execution. Seeing this, Jae-young smiled wickedly. I warned you to stop trash talking. After all, escaping with your life is more important. Afterwards, Jae-young prepared to log off and get some sleep, but he heard squeaking sounds from the slimes behind him. The slime queen was the first to embrace her benefactor, making Jae-young feel like he'd hit a cotton candy cloud. It was so soft. Then more and more slimes engulfed Jae-young. They expressed their gratitude without reservation. The slime queen led all her subjects to prostrate themselves before Jae-young. They presented their most precious gifts to show their most sincere thanks. A pop-up notification, obtained title Slime Savior, obtained reward, Crown of Slimes. Jae-young was confused. What's this crown for? The next second, a pop-up explained his confusion. Congratulations on obtaining 2,413 plausibility. And wearing the crown granted Jae-young plus 10 water power, plus 5 intelligence, and plus 5 physical resistance. But before logging off, he hid these achievement titles. If people saw them, wouldn't he become the server's public enemy? After bidding farewell to the slime queen, Jae-young decided to take Demon King Satan to their next destination, to squeeze out another bunch of plausibility. The next day, the destruction of Arcadia's newbie village made gaming news headlines, immediately triggering massive player outrage. The most heartbroken was the player who had triggered the Guardian class quest, but Jae-young felt his actions were completely reasonable. I merely acted according to the game's guidance. After all, my class is Bard of Anarchy, existing to disrupt game balance. My contracted being is the Demon Lord Satan, and the bigger the waves I make, the more plausibility I earn. As the newbie village destruction incident grew larger, some users quickly found a replacement starter area, a region called Baron Mikhail's domain. News spread like wildfire, causing all new players to gather here for development. Suddenly, the entire game's commercial street became bustling with their arrival, a town that originally only had NPC blacksmiths. In just one short week, gained thousands of blacksmith apprentices. However, the most terrifying part wasn't just this. Not only were all the blacksmith apprentices new players who had changed classes, they all harbored dreams of becoming master craftsmen, yet they set up stalls selling poorly made weapons, relying only on false advertising. However, in such an environment, iron ore that originally sold for 10 copper coins was now being speculated up to 20 copper coins each. Some players suggested why not mine the ore themselves to sell. They were immediately mocked by the amateur blacksmiths. Just the round trip from the mines takes 2 hours, and the drop rate for iron ore is depressingly low. In short, better to let others mine, while they repair equipment, both improving skills and gaining lots of experience. Going mining yourself is just a poor return on investment, so no players were willing to take mining quests, as the only reward was increasing favor with blacksmiths. But protagonist Jae-young smelled a huge business opportunity, because he accidentally overheard a conversation between NPC blacksmiths. Recently, the Lord has issued mining quotas. Even if we work without rest, we can't meet the targets. Hearing the word Lord, the scheming Jae-young's mind immediately started spinning. I didn't expect this town had such economic troubles. Perhaps I can make a fortune from this. Whenever Satan saw Jae-young's evil smile, he knew he was probably up to something. Jae-young approached the two blacksmiths with an insincere smile. Perhaps I can help you solve this problem. At this moment in Baron Mikhail's mansion, the Baron sat at his desk lost in thought, unable to understand how iron ore could rise to 15 copper coins overnight. At this rate, the town's blacksmiths would lose half their profits. They might even end up forging at a loss. And in the future, the market would no longer have quality equipment, but rather low-grade weapons crudely made by blacksmith apprentices. Perhaps some countermeasures needed to be taken. However, when the blacksmiths heard Jae-young was willing to take mining quests, they immediately assigned him a target of 20 iron ores for practice. When Jae-young rushed to the Pian Mountain mine, he took Demon King Satan to the most hidden depths of the mining tunnel. Satan skeptically asked, "Master, is this really okay? And to spend 8,000 plausibility, to have me do such meaningless things?" At Jae-young's urgent prompting, a pop-up notification showed weapon exchange successful. Obtained equipment, Destroyer of Demon Caves. Its special ability was to speed up mining and greatly increase collection rate, with a chance to mine rare ores. When the protagonist started, his desire for wealth was fully awakened. The Demon Cave Destroyer proved incredibly powerful, highly efficient. Mining notifications flooded the entire cave. In less than 3 hours, Jae-young's mining skill reached the highest rank, increasing character stamina by 10 points. Mining speed and success rate also doubled, and most importantly, he could sense hidden minerals. After 2.5 days of mining, Jae-young finally extracted over 1,000 iron ores, 100 silver ores, 10 gold ores, and a few rare ores. However, possessing these ores was only the second step in Jae-young's path to wealth, because the most crucial third step was Baron Mikhail, who was currently troubled by mining rates. If the Lord cannot supply enough iron, the blacksmith workshops might face closure at any time. Merchant groups from other continents might stop cooperating due to low weapon quality. To the various department heads, all this originated from too many new players becoming blacksmiths. After all, while blacksmith apprentices increased, the number of miners hadn't changed. This was the town's core problem, just as the Baron was worrying about what to do next. A guard rushed into the meeting room in great urgency. The Baron was also puzzled why it was so lively outside. It turned out that at the Baron's mansion gate, thousands of ores were piled into a small mountain. Iron ore, gold ore, silver ore, and even rare magic crystal ore. Jae-young deliberately sold all these ores to the Baron's mansion. 3 days of mining earned him 3 gold coins and 10 silver coins, converting to real money about $100,000. If mining non-stop, roughly $1 million per month. Such efficiency still wasn't enough to satisfy Jae-young's ambition. After all, his installment purchased GamePod was worth 10 million. This would take at least 2 months of mining to pay off. And to use quick money-making methods, he needed to prepare some things. The next second, the NPC Baron actively sought out Jae-young before they could even start talking. Jae-young gained the Baron's favor. Jae-young secretly smiled, Seems the Baron had finally taken the bait. "Greetings, noble Baron, what brings you to seek me?" The Baron introduced himself. "I am Mikhail, the lord of this town. If you have time, would you like to join me for tea?" A pop-up asked whether to accept the Baron's invitation. Next came the negotiation time with the NPC Baron. When the Baron heard that Jae-young had completed thousands of ore extractions in just 3 days, he was truly shocked. Soon, the Baron gave Jae-young an overview of the town's current iron ore supply shortage economic problems. Jae-young knew well what was happening, but still listened carefully to the NPC Baron's explanation, because once he finished speaking, some kind of quest would surely trigger. Sure enough, the pop-up came. This was exactly what Jae-young had been waiting for. Quest, the Lord's Woe. Please help the Lord increase the number of miners and improve mineral extraction rates. Jae-young immediately clicked to accept the quest. Then he patted his chest and sincerely said, "Lord Baron, I came precisely to solve the town's ore supply problem, but I need to make some preparations first. At the fastest, we might see results tomorrow." Having completed these 4 steps, Jae-young had accomplished about half of his get-rich scheme. But what Jae-young planned to do next was the most crucial part. From a realistic perspective, the Lord's Troubles quest seemed almost impossible to solve, but Arcadia was ultimately just a game, and players would absolutely refuse to do mining work that was pure labor without good pay. The first thing to do was change the players' perceptions. So Jae-young created a daily video account called Destroyer. Once this video goes out, I bet players will take the bait. So darlings, can you guess what Jae-young's going to do next? Surprisingly, the account's first video shot straight to the gaming section's hot list. All because of one short line, "You too can make money from Arcadia." The video opened with a scene inside the Pian Mountain mine. This location was familiar to every new player. Then Jae-young showed his 3-day earnings. A dozen gold coins made viewers drool. 10 gold coins in the game were worth $70,000. Listen up, newbies. At first, your mining skill is F rank. You can only mine 20 iron ores in an hour. That's 400 copper coins. So we need to improve our mining skill first. This way, not only does efficiency increase, but you also have a chance to mine rare ores. Now with my A-rank mining, I get 1 rare ore drop guaranteed every day. The appearance of rare ore immediately hooked the newbie players' souls. Let's skip the boring mining time. Finally sell the ores to NPC merchants, and today's income is 1 gold coin and 82 silver coins. That's almost 20,000. The protagonist's few short sentences immediately ignited people's desires, even those who were about to quit the game. Now frantically rushed to log back in. The internet immediately erupted in waves over this. In reality, the mining efficiency shown in the video was because Jae-young had exchanged for cheating equipment from Satan, which made it possible. But in his clever editing, he hid these facts, making it seem so easy to earn money. That afternoon, all the pickaxes in town were swept clean by new players. Everyone uniformly equipped themselves and rushed to the mines. Seeing this scene, the Baron couldn't stop smiling. Originally, not even 9 oxen could pull these players, yet now they're so eager to go to the mines. "So Dex, what method did you use?" Jae-young casually replied. "I merely ignited their primitive desires. After all, adventurers are all slaves to money." "Of course, Lord Baron, don't be too happy yet. It will take 3 processes before they willingly stay in the mines at your disposal. First, lower the miners' base pay to minimum, and give them a certain percentage of mineral commission. This way we can filter out those who are just here to slack off." The NPC Baron suddenly felt enlightened. There's actually such a method. Jae-young's casual probing revealed that the Baron didn't even understand basic economic concepts. But the Baron had another concern. Even so, the price of iron ore is still sky high, even doubled to 20 copper coins. Jae-young told the Baron not to worry anyway. Even if the price is higher, those who need to buy will still buy. In fact, for those master blacksmiths, even at 20 copper coins per iron ore, the profit is still very considerable. They haven't even raised their prices despite the rise in raw materials. If anyone still thinks the price is too high, then let them go mine it themselves. Whoever is thirsty should dig their own well. Isn't that reasonable? After hearing this, the Baron felt like his meridians had been unblocked. "I didn't know business had such principles. If you weren't an adventurer, I'd want to hire you as my financial officer." However, Jae-young had laid all this groundwork, waiting precisely for the moment when the Baron would offer a reward. The next second, Jae-young placed a pre-written scroll on the table. The Baron examined the scroll in confusion. "My lord, this is the project proposal I've written. Please take a look and see if you're satisfied. You know, one person's earnings are quite limited. So how do we break through this ceiling? Simple. We lead groups rather than individuals. If Lord Baron is willing to gift me 10% of the mine's annual income, I will hand over all rights to this project, and the management methods completely to you." Looking at the town's enthusiasm for mining, the Baron had no reason to refuse. Satan was curious what else is in that project proposal, but Jae-young explained with an analogy. "It's easy to go up the mountain but hard to come down. Mining is thankless work. Regular players can mine at most 10 iron ores per hour. The reason I can mine rare ores is because I have the Demon Cave Destroyer equipment boost." Satan understood immediately. "Aren't you just digging a pit for newbies to fall into? But why would newbies waste time mining for you? Of course there are ways to keep them here. That's selling entry tickets to the mines. And poor people have nothing left but time, so those who can't afford tickets can pay with their mined ores. The entry ticket price would be about 1 gold coin." Satan heard this and felt his scalp tingle. Who would buy such an expensive threshold? Not necessarily. After all, the message I sent out is that mining is as easy as picking money off the ground, so I'm not worried they won't want to enter at high prices. Jae-young immediately showed an evil smile. This way, I can just sit back and profit. Demon King Satan felt that the Jae-young before him was the true Demon King, and he had extorted others without any guilt. After thinking it over, he felt this guy really deserved to be his master. But what Jae-young didn't expect was that Baron Mikhail was even greedier than him. A new player who saw Jae-young's video immediately rushed to the mine, but was stopped by a guard. "Don't you know you need an entry ticket to mine?" The youth was bewildered. This wasn't mentioned in the video. Has something changed at the mine? The NPC guard morally blackmailed him. "Have you adventurers contributed anything to this mine's development? No work, no food, isn't paying a usage fee reasonable?" Seemed to make sense. "So how much is this entry ticket?" Not expensive, just 30 gold coins per month. The boy was terrified. 30 gold coins was equivalent to about $3,000 per day in usage fees. The key was he couldn't afford it. Would the dream of getting rich overnight just become a bubble? The guard immediately saw through the boy's thoughts. He secretly showed an evil smile and consoled. Young man, don't be discouraged. Looking at your equipment, I can tell you're not well off. But our Lord has created a system for people like you. It's called Use Now, Pay Later. You can ask about the specifics at the consultation center. The consultation center's NPC service staff was beautiful as a flower, immediately lowering the youth's psychological defenses. Watching the youth walk towards the consultation center, the NPC guard looked at him like seeing a youth's point of no return future. At this time, constant pickaxe strikes echoed from the mine. Everyone prayed to heaven to drop a rare ore so they could pay off the entry fee sooner. The NPC service staff showed a strange smile. Who would have thought these players would willingly become slaves? This up the mountain easy down the mountain hard scheme definitely couldn't have been thought up by the Lord. Anyway, whoever came up with this plan is simply a walking demon. At this moment, Jae-young received a pop-up notification. Daily extraction of 10,000 iron ores achieved. Quest Baron's woe completed. Please find the Lord to receive quest-related rewards. Jae-young was also puzzled why it was faster than he expected. But right now, Jae-young had no time to collect rewards. It turned out Satan had accidentally found an ancient relic below Pian Mountain, though this place clearly had been abandoned for ages. The relic's gate was mysteriously gleaming. Could there be magic reinforcement on the door? So what secrets lurked behind the door? Even Demon King Satan was intrigued by this. Just as Jae-young touched the gate, the seal magic on the door activated. A pop-up suggested you can spend 15,000 plausibility to remove the seal. Facing the unknown, Jae-young was not stingy. What better time to use plausibility than now? Plausibility consumed. Congratulations on discovering the obscure altar of heaven. Satan's face lit up with a smile. Sure enough, it's a relic related to angels. The moment Jae-young opened the relic, the game officials on the other end exploded. The AI sent a warning. A user had prematurely invaded the Pian Mountain relic, so 693 related quests would be contaminated. It turned out that Pian Mountain was where the first angel descended to Arcadia. It was once also the entrance to the grand heavenly realm. To protect the relic, ore veins were generated around it to divert attention. But now the relic's entrance had been opened early by a player. The final consequence would be contamination of future mythical level quests. The second Holy to Demon War. The Holy to Demon War was angels and demons on Arcadia's stage, engaging in fierce life and death battles. Countless lives were lost in bloodshed. The entire continent's creatures suffered. And in the first Holy to Demon War, if not for the World Tree's aid, absolutely no creature in Arcadia could have survived. Looking back at Jae-young entering the relic preparing for treasure hunting. Let's go, master. Let's empty out all the treasures inside. So Satan, you mean the treasure is in this coffin? Because the relic had almost nothing else, only the coffin at the altar looked suspicious. So little Satan, how should we open it? Just like that, they tried to lift it for 10 minutes, but the coffin didn't budge an inch. There's no restriction on this at all. It's just that the lid is too heavy. Jae-young was just a newbie player. His strength points were far from enough, but the Demon King said the lid was also rare ore material. So the greedy Jae-young immediately put on his goggles, then took out the Demon Cave Destroyer, naturally wanting to use his mining methods to open the coffin lid. As the drill head made violent thunder against the coffin lid, with a bang the lid shattered. A pop-up notified you've destroyed an unknown ancient relic. The heavenly beings who saw the player's behavior were shocked and disgusted. Your favorability with the heavenly realm has dropped to minimum. Obtained title the Relic Destroyer. But when Jae-young saw what was inside the coffin, he looked disappointed. Inside the skeleton had nothing but tattered clothes, just a necklace on its neck. Where was any great treasure? Satan pointed at the remains, saying, Master, you don't know. The necklace on his neck is the most precious item in the entire mine. The next second after Jae-young picked up the necklace, a game pop-up notification appeared. Congratulations on obtaining the glorious heavenly metal. Holy aura will purify the impurities in your body. As holy light frantically poured into Jae-young's body, the holy phantom in the heavenly metal became increasingly solid, until the phantom's features became clear. An even stronger holy energy than before swept outward. Demon King Satan felt like he was being torn apart by the holy light, while Jae-young felt warm like basking in sunlight. But just as the phantom was about to grant Jae-young the hidden class, the Holy Prophet, a flame ignited in Jae-young's chest, seeming to declare its sovereignty. At this time, the game issued a warning. You are not a saintly nature player. System encountered fatal error. Equipment will be temporarily disabled. Arcadia Virtual Reality Company will prioritize fixing this bug for you. Jae-young broke out in a cold sweat. Looks like my original hidden class conflicts with it. Anyway, the game company will help me resolve this, but now we should stop here. What we're doing would be called grave robbing in reality. If any traces are discovered, I won't be able to survive in the game world. So, little Satan, remember, when doing things you must clean up thoroughly. Watching Jae-young take out the Demon Cave Destroyer, Satan got goosebumps all over. You're not planning to destroy this place completely? Jae-young showed a kind smile, then followed with a series of drilling crashes. This way there should be no problem. Just need to block the entrance, and it'll be perfect. Satan watched dumbfounded. No wonder you're my master. Afterwards, Jae-young came to Baron Mikhail's mansion, intending to collect the quest reward from the Baron. Jae-young's arrival excited the Baron immensely, because the Baron no longer had to worry about miner shortages for the next year. We have 10,000 miners under contract, and I'll still take 30% of their mineral earnings. How did you ever think of this method? Actually, Jae-young just got the inspiration from reading news about unscrupulous companies, compared to when he first met the NPC Baron. Now, he seemed to be stepping into the abyss of exploiting employees. After receiving the Baron's reward of 244 gold coins, Jae-young could now pay off his installment purchased game pod early. But the next second, the Baron sincerely invited, Dex, are you sure you won't create a business with me? A pop-up showed Baron Mikhail's proposal. If you agree to joint management, you can enjoy the same rights as the Baron. Looking at such attractive conditions, to be honest, Jae-young was somewhat tempted, but Jae-young still declined, saying he planned to travel the continent. The next second, the NPC Baron actually handed over a letter of recommendation. With this, you'll at least get some personal protection within the Marune Kingdom. And this letter honor is also part of the quest reward. But Jae-young felt puzzled. You mentioned personal safety. Is there warfare in the kingdom? The Baron spoke. Frankly, actually the royal atmosphere has been unusual lately. The king is elderly, but the prince who should inherit the throne is too young. So radicals in the kingdom have started causing trouble to seize power. The worst is Duke von Hern. This guy has become the radical faction's leader, attempting to make the new king his puppet. More disgusting is that at this critical moment, he's proposing war with neighboring countries, not considering the country's future at all. If you take my recommendation letter to find Count Borgin, he will surely make good use of you. Just as the protagonist decided to avoid this plotline, it was too late. Pop-up notification, required mission updated. Assist the Marune Kingdom and royal family's actions, but this mission will change based on player actions. When Jae-young saw the required mission couldn't be refused, his heart nearly died. If only I hadn't asked too many questions. Finally, Jae-young bid farewell to Baron Mikhail. All along the way, he kept thinking about the quest he had just triggered. Even Satan, a demon, knew that human political struggles were especially troublesome, but Jae-young wanted to give it a try. After all, stirring up trouble was the best way to gain more plausibility points. Just then, a notification window popped up. The glorious heavenly metals abilities have been fully adjusted. Congratulations on forming a connection with the holy heaven through this medium. You will permanently summon the holy figure of glory. Archangel Michael will descend to the mortal realm. It's worth noting that angels and demons have been mortal enemies since ancient times. Yet these two leader-level figures both formed permanent contracts with the same protagonist. However, what made Jae-young most curious was, if he gave plausibility points to the angel, what special abilities would she provide in return? As soon as the divine pet and demon pet met, they wanted to fight to the death. Come on, let's fight. Just like the holy demon war 1,000 years ago. First fight until all living beings are destroyed, then fight until global extinction. The protagonist Jae-young was caught in the middle, having to be both the angel's messenger and the demon's confidant. These two are supposed to be leaders of their races, yet they quarrel like neighborhood children. It turns out that in the holy demon war 1,000 years ago, Michael and Satan had their final battle at the otherworldly mountain. The angel ended up piercing through Satan's abdomen, until Satan noticed the holy spear in the angel's hand. You despicable bastard, actually bringing a holy artifact of Muspelheim's caliber. And this story was exactly what Jae-young had read in the library. At this moment, Michael flew to Jae-young's side. I can sense the power you possess, but plausibility would be very dangerous in the hands of a vile bat. So to prevent you from being influenced by the demon's sugar-coated cannons, let me, Michael, become your guardian angel, to guide you onto the righteous path of light. Satan laughed in response. Hee hee, foolish angel. I can guarantee with my position as the demon lord, that this human before you is more evil than demons. In fact, Jae-young had to admit, after all, the Bard of Anarchy class requires disturbing the world to grow stronger, so everything I've done in the game has unconsciously leaned towards the evil faction, because only this way can I obtain the plausibility to change all rules. However, Angel Michael didn't think so. Human nature is inherently good. The angel's mission is to awaken the kindness hidden in their hearts. Seeing Michael so proactive, Satan immediately realized this one's intentions weren't pure. So Michael, I'll let you exist for the master's sake, but don't think about getting a share of the plausibility. Michael smiled slightly. With me here, you won't be able to monopolize the master's plausibility points. Hearing their noisy quarrel, Jae-young stopped Michael. Little Michael, you know that regardless of angels or demons, this world has always followed the principle of money. Since we're talking about plausibility, let me ask, if I give you plausibility points, what can you provide in return? And reciprocity is also common sense in heaven. Heaven indeed has several weapons that can help humans, but Jae-young's current weakness is his game character's combat power. So little Michael, can you provide me with combat abilities? Although the Bard of Anarchy can master plausibility that changes rules, it cannot possess any attack methods. The character doesn't even have a level system. The mining and swimming skills Jae-young possessed were of no help in combat. Though he could exchange equipment through Satan, it couldn't make up for his combat weakness. At this moment, Michael thought of the best enhancement method. Notification window, possession skill has been generated. You can temporarily borrow the power of the heavenly throne by consuming plausibility points. This power has no upper limit, but is closely related to the plausibility points provided by the master. After learning how to use it, Jae-young couldn't wait. He immediately activated the possession skill to test its power. In the next instant, holy energy surged to the sky. Even Demon Lord Satan was forced back by the divine aura. The entire forest was illuminated by holy light. Monsters in the deep forest immediately sensed the presence of an enemy. Brothers, follow me to kill them. Michael explained, Master, this possession skill can borrow the power of ancient heroic spirits who once fought bravely for heaven, such as Farhan the glorious knight, Merlin the grand wizard of truth, Farkle the legendary archer, and Myrfen the faithful swordsman. This meant Jae-young simultaneously possessed 5 professions. Just then, several orcs appeared from the forest. Holy light blazed from Jae-young's left eye. How could he not use such perfect practice targets? Possession, activate. Jae-young chose the heroic spirit of Farhan the glorious knight. He had another title, the Demon Crusher, because the demon blood on his sword tip had never dried. His shield had saved countless lives. Demons who faced him had only one fate. That was to be purified in the torment of fear by a sword carrying holy light. The moment possession was activated, Farhan's sword and shield appeared in Jae-young's hands. Satan's eyes widened in shock, because these two weapons in Jae-young's hands, there wasn't a single demon who dared not recognize them. Possession. As the name suggests, it means having divine power attached to oneself. From Satan's reaction, Jae-young could tell that Farhan was the demon among demons. I've been waiting for you, my whetstones. The orcs showed a hint of hesitation on their faces. What kind of power is this? These monsters seem to have gained intelligence. They won't take the bait even with such provocation. Could they be leader-level monsters in this forest? Level 25 orcs? So when the orc leader's sword came slashing down the next second, Jae-young merely spread his divine shield, which directly melted the orc's great sword. Notification window, unflinching, will activated. This kind of power that transcends everything feels really good. Big guy, now it's my turn. With righteous faith, the spark of dawn burning in heaven, dispelling all darkness in the world, the current Jae-young might as well be Farhan himself. The orcs were scared witless by the holy light. Jae-young was intoxicated with power. I'll be taking your heads. The great sword fell like a brilliant falling star. The orcs turned to dust and scattered. Notification window, possession skill has ended. Beginning to calculate duration and player settlement. Consumed 350 52 plausibility points. At this moment, the wind was clear and the moon bright. Jaeyoung dispersed the attached holy light and returned to his original form. Against level 25 monsters, it was complete domination. But this scene had left Michael dumbfounded. Although possession was used, the power was too extraordinary. How could a human body withstand such strong power? At this moment, Michael suddenly realized something. So that's it. Her lips curled into a smile. Great creator, I finally understand why you sent me here. This human is the one who can change the course of the world. I, Michael, will keep my eyes wide open watching his every move. In contrast, Jaeyoung looked troubled. For Jaeyoung, possession's only drawback was its cost, because the possession duration was only 5 minutes, yet it consumed over 300 plausibility points. If he encountered tough enemies, the consumption of plausibility points would be like a bottomless abyss. Then Jaeyoung turned his head, looking at the divine and demonic pets who had been quarreling non-stop. These two could actually sleep peacefully together. But I should sleep too. After all, tomorrow I still need to go to the Marune Kingdom to execute that damn mission. Due to its geographical advantage, the Marune Kingdom became a hub for trade between nations. Several major merchant guilds operated here, and the profits were quite considerable. I have to ask, I brought so many goods to trade, yet your guildmaster won't receive me. Is GM Corporate looking down on NPCs? Respected NPC merchant, would you not be satisfied with me, the deputy manager, receiving you? After all, our guildmaster is currently meeting with the Duke, and the Duke inside was Von Hern. Guildmaster Choi, I think you can guess that in the future, the Marune Kingdom will go to war with the Fakel Kingdom. As the master of GM Corporate, you should understand the pros and cons. Jaegyu Choi was very clear. This NPC Duke before him, who was preparing to ascend to kingship, was the best partner who could bring him billions in profit. It turns out Jaegyu Choi was the youngest son of GM Group's chairman, but he couldn't handle the hardships at the basic level, failed at every position he took, always getting scolded badly by his father, and the GM guild in the game was created by this game-loving youngest son. This organization was established purely for money. Now the opportunity to gain his father's approval lay before Jaegyu Choi. So, Your Grace, our guild will purchase large quantities of grain in the future. You must help me negotiate a good price with the king. No problem. I will also give GM Guild the maximum share of our kingdom's military funds. The reason I'm seeking help from a player-formed guild is that I have only one requirement. Just don't attract the attention of NPCs. At this moment, Jaegyu Choi's heart was racing. After Duke Von Hern left, the chance to rise up before his father had arrived, he must raise funds quickly now. After all, a duke who wants to drain the treasury to become king comes once in 100 years. If this business deal succeeds, the entire server economy of Arcadia would be tightly gripped in GM Group's hands. Wait and see, father. I will definitely prove my business talent through this game. However, at this moment, Jaeyoung had just met Count Borgen. The Count looked disdainful. So Baron Mikhail sent you to find me, and brought his letter of recommendation, right? Yes, he said I could get personal protection by finding you. With a ripping sound, the letter was torn in half, without even being opened. Jaeyoung could hardly believe it. Borgen, enjoying Jaeyoung's anger, asked, "What did Mikhail send you to me for?" Jaeyoung's lips curled into a smile. "Are you asking me directly about the reason?" The next second, Jaeyoung laughed heartily and asked in return, "Reasons, shouldn't that be considered? By those in high positions of power?" The friction between their words sparked brilliant flames. Count Borgen immediately let out an earth-shattering laugh. "You kid, I like your style. I know without you saying what he sent you for. He must think you're talented enough to stop the war between the two countries," Jaeyoung said sarcastically. "I don't think I have that ability." Borgen read the meaning in his words, not surprised at hearing about war. "It seems Baron Mikhail trusts you a lot. He's already told you the general situation, right? So Dex, have you thought about how to stop the fighting between the two countries?" After some thought, Jaeyoung offered two solutions, a simple way and a difficult way. Borgen decided to hear the simple one first. "You all say Duke Von Hern is the main culprit. Isn't it simple to catch the ringleader first?" Borgen's expression immediately became serious. "You mean kill Duke Von Hern?" Jaeyoung laughed sarcastically. "Isn't this the simplest way?" Borgen almost laughed his teeth off. "That's like saying nothing at all. You should know that his personal guards are all knights and mages above master level. If anyone could assassinate him, I'd let them be Count instead of me," Jaeyoung volunteered, pointing at himself. "I can definitely do it." Borgen wasn't looking down on Jaeyoung. "I think with your level 1 strength, you probably couldn't even touch the Duke's clothes." But Jaeyoung laughed confidently. "Old man, please don't judge by appearances. That bearing, youth is indeed good. Come with me, young man. Your edges are really too sharp. Since you're so confident, how about sparring with me? I trust Mikhail's judgment of you. So kid, please don't disappoint me." The desire for battle bloomed in every cell of Borgen's body. "I'm a sword master, but even with my strength, I'm not confident about completing an assassination." Jaeyoung's response was just 2 words. Possession. Farkle the legendary archer. Possession successful. The killing intent that burst from Jaeyoung in an instant made the Count tremble without even fighting. How is this possible? Just now he was clearly a boy who had never touched a sword. Now his aura erupts like someone who has practiced swordsmanship for a lifetime. Jaeyoung's eyes were resolute, declaring he would end the fight in 5 minutes. The trembling Count felt his heart racing. Notification window. Rapid footsteps activated. Blitz battle activated. Blade of the Wind has taken effect. The air spirits have completed their protection. The seemingly light sword edge, when it collided with the Count's blade, it felt like a small mountain, incomparably heavy. Jaeyoung thought he could decide the victor in one move, but Count Borgen barely managed to block it. Just as Jaeyoung was about to dispel the possession skill, the Count became excited. "You kid really aren't an ordinary adventurer." Jaeyoung grinned. "Good that you know. Let's end the sparring here." Actually, Jaeyoung was worried about his plausibility points, but Count Borgen had found his match and couldn't let go. "Kid, no matter how strong you are, you should at least let me show my strength." In the blink of an eye, a crimson battle aura blade appeared on the Count's sword edge, making crackling sounds. "Although I haven't been a sword master for long, I have unquestionable pride in myself. The battle aura blade concentrated on my sword is the source of my pride." Jaeyoung sighed. Looks like he had to knock him down. Borgen decided to go all out, "Kid. If you can take my strongest sword, I also want to know how strong your true sword is." A sword energy like a raging beast rushed towards Jaeyoung. The strongest wasn't the sharpness, but the Count's all-or-nothing sword intent. However, just as the sword energy was about to hit Jaeyoung, a battle aura blade 100 times more terrifying than the Count appeared out of nowhere. What surprised the Count was that this level of battle aura blade could only be mastered by level 150 sword masters. Looking at the notification window, Jae-young's heart shattered. Using high-level skills beyond his level actually required additional plausibility points. But Count Borgin wasn't intimidated by one sword. Yet Jae-young's plausibility points were consumed considerably. Jae-young, who valued wealth like life, decided to end it quickly. Now possessing Farkle's power, he began to try out the skills he had used when playing 3D PC games. On the surface, Jae-young only swung one sword, but actually, it was 100 swords combined. The power unleashed by 100 sword energies overlapping was unimaginable. Borgin felt his body would shatter from the sword, until Jae-young caught a glimpse of an opening. With the final emerald sword light swung out, Count Borgin felt the breath of death. If Jae-young hadn't held back in time, he would have paid with his life. He was grateful to be alive. Notification window possession ended. You have spent a total of 2,812 plausibility points. Obtained title, Miracle Duelist. Strength increased by 10 points. Jae-young was so angry his teeth almost cracked. Extortion. This is absolutely extortion. Michael popped out to explain, I think the power master borrowed far exceeds this price. However, speaking of which, you could use this power so perfectly. Have you practiced swordsmanship before? Jae-young didn't lie. When he played 3 DPC games before, he was the server's #1 knight. At this moment, Count Borgin hadn't yet recovered from his shock. After all, as a sword master, he couldn't predict the sword trajectories of this level 1 newcomer. The boy before him had already surpassed the level of sword master. The Count knelt on one knee before Jae-young. May I ask, what is your pursuit in swordsmanship? After some thought, Jae-young answered, probably wind. Wind that is swifter and freer than anyone else's, and sharp. At this moment, Count Borgin felt a hint of enlightenment. Catching this moment's feeling to swing his sword, his aura became more contained, the feeling of swinging the sword much more composed than before. Jae-young's casual guidance had unconsciously made the NPC start practicing. Afterward, the Count bowed 90 degrees to Jae-young in apology. I spoke arrogantly before. Please forgive this old fossil. Jae-young didn't mind after all, who wouldn't have the same reaction hearing a level 1 newcomer wanted to assassinate a duke. So, Sir Dex, do you really want to assassinate Duke von Hern? With your strength, I believe it would be effortless. But his death would cause royal family turmoil. Jae-young then gave an example. Have you heard of the Gordian knot? Do you know what's the simplest way to untie such an intricate and complex knot? Borgin couldn't quite understand and couldn't answer. Jae-young grinned. The simplest way is to cut it with one stroke. As for what happens afterward, there will always be a way, right? Jae-young's words once again enlightened Borgin. Though this method was irresponsible, the internal and external problems of the Maroon Kingdom were growing like weeds. Perhaps this was the most direct solution. At this moment, Borgin finally understood the terrifying nature of the youth before him. With top-tier swordsmanship yet such inner thoughts, this youth's emergence would surely shock the entire continent. At this moment, a notification window appeared. Subquest Assassinate Duke von Hern has been updated. Jae-young felt embarrassed. This game system was really sensitive. The demon pet Satan poked his head out with an evil smile. Master, when are you going to take care of this guy? Angel Michael hurriedly came out to object. Assassination is absolutely forbidden. We should challenge him to an honorable duel. And send the duel letter 3 days in advance, that's the proper way. Jae-young was dumbfounded after hearing this. Actually, Jae-young didn't want to kill von Hern right now. Little Satan, little Michael, you need to understand one thing. Duke von Hern surely wouldn't go to war with a neighboring country without reason. From my standpoint, why should I care about the life or death of the Maroon Kingdom? What I care about is who to cooperate with, to bring me the greatest benefits. Wars between kingdoms have always existed. It's just a matter of which country starts it first. In other words, it doesn't matter who starts the war. But one thing is certain, that is, when the war escalates to its most chaotic point, I can play more roles and get relatively more plausibility. Little Satan was puzzled about why not directly ally with that bastard Duke von Hern. Jae-young heard this and grinned. Little Satan, your understanding of this matter is too shallow. The war you understand is the conflict between two kingdoms, but the war I understand has another type. That is the friction between forces within the kingdom. If I can successfully trigger 2 wars simultaneously, then the plausibility benefits I gain from it would be double. Satan felt his scalp tingle. You're really crazy. Master, the position of Demon King should be yours. Then Satan took out a notebook, recording all of Jae-young's strategies. This guy truly looks at everything in this world purely from his own interests. He who bathes in sunlight is actually the most terrifying Demon King, because a morning news report deeply moved him. The game company that owned Arcadia actually broke through $5,000 per share this morning, meaning someone invested at least $1 trillion in Arcadia. So Jae-young decided to visit the Duke to investigate. But just as Jae-young walked into the Duke's mansion, he saw an energetic young man. Perhaps he was one of the sources of this great causality. Before Jae-young entered, the richest guild master in all of Arcadia, Jaegyu Choi, personally came to the Duke's mansion for a strategic report. Your Grace, our GM guild has controlled the NPC farmers who used to supply grain to enemy armies, and we've booked all their future grain output, then bought it all in futures form. So Your Grace, can you give us your word? Let our GM guild handle all military provisions when we go to war with the neighboring country in the future. This will help Your Grace quickly empty the treasury and easily complete your ascension. Duke von Hern pointed at the ceiling. Don't you think it would be better to discuss this after I take the throne? Just as Jaegyu Choi was about to speak, the Duke's eyes became sharp. Adventurer, are you doubting me? The worst thing in negotiations is not having leverage on the other party. Having suffered a silent loss, Jaegyu Choi could only vent his frustration on the wall. For the sake of smooth cooperation, he had to swallow his pride, because in these 3 days, he had spent 10 million gold coins to pre-purchase all grain in the market. If converted to real currency, that would be $1 trillion. If the plan fails, not only would the real world corporation go bankrupt, his father would definitely flay him alive. If the 2 great kingdoms really go to war, grain prices could surge tenfold overnight. Turning 1 trillion into 10 trillion isn't impossible. But just at this moment, Jae-young suddenly passed by Jaegyu Choi, making Choi's heart skip a beat. Choi wanted to chase after him but was too late. No mistake, this guy covered his newbie outfit with a cloak. He's definitely not an NPC but a player like me. But why can he enter Duke von Hern's mansion? Is he trying to interfere? Snapping his fingers, Jaegyu Choi called 2 men in black robes. Help me watch this guy. Bring him to me as soon as he comes out. The reason Jae-young could meet Duke von Hern was mainly because of Count Borgin's letter of recommendation. But Jae-young's first words were, Count Borgin is planning to assassinate you. Von Hern's face immediately darkened. Adventurer, Do you think I would believe your one-sided words? I think your grace already has the picture in your mind, and there's no need for me to prove it. The divine and demonic pets suddenly became anxious. Why are you lying? Demon King Satan had a moment of realization. Could this be intentional? Little Satan, I see you already understand, Von Hern asked knowingly. So adventurer, why did you tell me this information? Jae-young immediately stated his view. I believe a wise and mature king is 100 times better than an immature boy. The kingdom will only be ideal under your grace's rule. Duke Von Hern couldn't stop smiling. Adventurer, what's your name? Jae-young immediately revealed his game ideas. Dex. Finally, the two shook hands friendly. Dex, is it? It seems we two will get along very well in the future. Good, Jae-young successfully picked his side. At this point, Jae-young could be certain that the Duke's desire for the throne was desperate. It also meant that the Duke's determination to go to war with the neighboring country was real. What Jae-young needed to confirm next was the source of that 500 million reported in the news until the appearance of two men in black robes. Jae-young finally understood the identity of the trillion-dollar investor. It was that blonde guy he just met at the Duke's mansion. If he remembered correctly, that guy was the leader of the GM guild. So when the men in black appeared, there wasn't a hint of fear on Jae-young's face. I was saying, what took you so long, kid? Welcome to the GM Grand Guild. Let's sit down and talk, Jae-gyu Choi asked fiercely. What did you discuss with the Duke? Jae-young said probingly. I don't seem to have any reason to tell you, until Choi got so agitated. Obviously, this guy had major business dealings with the NPC Duke. Confirming this point, Jae-young looked around. 7 black-robed guards in total. To leave safely, he might have to use the possession skill. However, the guild's vice leader suddenly bowed to Jae-young. Actually, we just wanted to ask if you received any tasks from Duke Von Hern. Seeing Jae-young playing dumb, Jae-gyu Choi slammed the table in anger. Kid, what's your relationship with the Duke? If you dare interfere with our business in the future in this game, no. In reality, your life will be full of torment. The next second, the vice leader grabbed Jae-gyu Choi's collar. Calm down, young master, you've crossed the line. Then the vice leader bowed apologetically to Jae-young, young friend. Because our guild master has invested too much in Duke Von Hern, that's why he's so sensitive. Seeing such a cunning old fox, Jae-young couldn't help but admire the old man's deep scheming. Then the calm Jae-gyu Choi threw a bag of gold coins at Jae-young. So, mysterious adventurer, is this enough to convince you? Hearing mysterious, Jae-young secretly rejoiced. If that's the case, then I just need to give up the Duke's task, right? Jae-gyu Choi had never seen someone so money-oriented. If he had known, he wouldn't have wasted so much breath. After a day, Jae-young could confirm 2 pieces of intelligence. Duke Von Hern wanted to usurp power and control an entire kingdom. And connected to him was the real-world GM Group. The morning news was the result of GM Group's investment in the game. Didn't expect them to be so bold. The investment amount was almost equal to their group's valuation. Such intricate relationships surely involved huge causality. However, I only need to kill Duke Von Hern to turn everything upside down and get massive plausibility points. Just as Jae-young decided to assassinate the Duke under cover of night, the Angel of Justice, Michael, refused to lend Jae-young the possession skill. But without possession, how could Jae-young assassinate the Duke? Any of his guards could kill me with one slash. But Demon King Satan smelled the scent of plausibility points. Master, don't mind that angel. If it's just power you need, I can lend you the power of the demon realm. Jae-young was immediately shocked. Little Satan, you mean you also? Satan showed an evil smile. Actually, I can do possession too. With that said, little Satan eagerly generated the contract. The next instant, a magic circle full of evil spirit power suddenly expanded. Jae-young was very curious about which ancient demon god Satan's possession could summon. Notification window, your contract with the demon realm has been established. You can temporarily borrow the power of the demon realm by consuming plausibility points. Jae-young smiled wickedly. Little Satan, why didn't you say earlier that you could do possession too? This gives my plan much more feasibility. The next second, the character selection window for possession appeared. Among these demon gods were not only vampires, but also black mages. Lich Argamer, the Deadly Legion. This guy was the peak existence among death mages. Legend has it that he alone destroyed an entire empire of 10 million people. Jae-young bet everything to sign a contract with the demon and summoned the peak death mage Argamer, as long as there are enough corpses. It's like having an undead army that can regenerate infinitely. Destroying a country with a wave of the hand wouldn't seem exaggerated, not to mention someone of Lich Argamer's caliber. But what the protagonist was looking forward to was what rich game rewards he could get from assassinating the Duke. So the Duke's mansion's 2 guardian knights became the protagonist's first subjects for experimenting with undead magic. Possession. Activate. Lich Argamer possession complete. Jae-young immediately sensed his undead system skills. Sure enough, they were exactly like what he had read in novels. The Duke's guards had never felt such an ominous aura. This kind of pressure was definitely an existence worthy of being written into the kingdom's history books. The next instant, an evil torrent manifested as soul-reaping ghosts. The knights didn't hold back. Instead, they immediately activated the high-consumption skill Holy Shield, worthy of being the first Duke's guards. And they were Paladin-class NPC. The fear in their hearts made the Guardian Knights go all out unconsciously. Their holy swords instantly completed the stacking of the Judgment Blade skill. Jae-young's lips curled into a disdainful and arrogant smile. Skill Spirit Spear activate. A demon from the depths of hell suddenly appeared. It could obliterate all light with just a point. The knights pierced by the spear were dumbfounded because they sensed the aura of a death mage in the spear. The other knight fled in panic. A lich, it's actually a lich. Must report this to the whole country immediately. The next second, the spirit spear likewise devoured his heart. After all, Jae-young couldn't expose himself yet, and the power of a death mage lies in the number of undead under control. Well then, now that the materials are ready, it's time to make these recently deceased knights stand up again. Skill Rise of the Dead. This skill can stabilize the soul energy within corpses, then transform the corpses into ghoul warriors with their former combat power. The soldier's level is determined by the strength they possessed while alive. Unexpectedly, this knight actually reached the level of mid-tier Death Knight, and for the Death Mage class, as long as there are enough corpses and mana, it's equivalent to having the ability to control unlimited undead. The existence of one Death Mage is equivalent to having a massive army. Therefore, the Death Mage class is particularly suited for siege warfare, just like now. Along the way, Jae-young assassinated dozens of soldiers in the Duke's mansion, and the number of undead kept growing. Facing the undead army, people's first reaction instruction was to summon the Paladin squad, but after seeing the characteristics of the Death Knights, they lost all hope. Weren't these guys the mansion's Paladin lords? Soon the few remaining guards in the mansion naturally became undead under Jae-young's command. Go, help me find Duke Von Hern's hiding place. Your Grace, you better hide well if you want to live. At this moment, the entire Duke's mansion was like hell, emanating an aura of death. The only movement left was from the sleepy-eyed Duke Von Hern. By the time his subordinates came to report, it was too late, because now the mansion was filled with liches, my lord. We can only wait for death. The imminent death made the Duke's face turn pale. The next second, undead energy flowed into the Duke's bedroom. Jae-young finally found the culprit who influenced everything. Kill him. The center of this situation. Perhaps I can really get a lot of plausibility points. In the blink of an eye, 3 undead soldiers rushed into the Duke's room, looking at his once familiar subordinates. Each one turned into undead. And among these undead, the largest Death Knight was none other than his trusted holy sword Redner. Then a black-robed figure appeared from behind the undead. Duke Von Hern, we meet again. How could Von Hern not remember Jae-young? He who was fawning just days ago now came with undead to claim his life. Duke Von Hern begged, Adventurer, I can satisfy whatever you want. But Jae-young's lips curved into an evil smile. What if I want your life? That's why I came here. My Lord Duke, you should be more careful when choosing your people, be it for war or for the throne. I don't even care if you want to profit from national crisis, but still, the people you chose shouldn't have displeased me. Pay attention in your next life, though I'm not sure if NPCs have next lives. Amidst the NPC Duke's plea for help, Jae-young ordered, then let those under your command send you to your death. Past events flashed before the Duke's eyes like a lantern show. It really was all for nothing. Death is like a lamp being extinguished. A pop-up notification indicated that Duke Von Hern had died. Thus, the secretly ongoing plan experienced a major deviation. 321 related quests in Arcadia were deleted as a result. Obtained the title Aristocrat Killer. Congratulations on completing the subquest. Calculating your midterm rewards. Gained 53,000 credibility points. Looking at the numerous pop-ups before him, Jae-young suddenly realized that the bigger the chaos he created, the more credibility points he would receive. The credibility points made both divine and demonic pets' eyes shine with golden light. Master seems to have become more delicious. Oh right, little Satan. Argamer's possession time shouldn't be restricted, right? Yes, as long as you pay enough credibility points, Master. Jae-young immediately revealed a wicked smile, making Satan break out in cold sweat. Surely Master isn't planning to cause trouble again. Then Jae-young cast Rise of the Dead on Duke Von Hern. Stop playing dead, stand up now. After all, I still have many places I haven't destroyed yet. Afterward, Jae-young, with the 50,000 credibility points rewarded for killing the Duke, led his undead army to begin the destruction of the territory. After hours of devastation, Duke Von Hern's territory's production capacity decreased by 85% and military capability decreased by 98%. All NPC residents in the territory fled. At this moment, the flag symbolizing the kingdom's Duke was burned to ashes by Jae-young. With this, Duke Von Hern's territory was completely destroyed. Pop-up notification obtained the title Merciless Necromancer. Duke Von Hern's secret plan was thus thwarted. Congratulations on gaining 14,000 credibility points. Looking at the territory covered by the undead army, Jae-young regretted not choosing Necromancer as his profession. As long as there was enough mana, commanding hundreds or thousands of undead soldiers would be no problem. But seeing corpses every day would also be torture. From this campaign, Jae-young gained 60,000 credibility points. But he didn't know how much this possession would cost. After all, this was power borrowed from others. The credibility points consumed might be more than what was earned. So little Satan, how much credibility have I actually consumed with you so far? The next second, Satan pulled out a calculator and began carefully calculating the credibility point consumption. All in all, Master, you need to pay me 42,284 credibility points. Little Satan, do I look like a sucker to you? Give me a discount, cut it down. Satan felt his heart being stabbed. Master, you're actually haggling with me. Since you used the corresponding power, shouldn't you pay the corresponding credibility? Jae-young remained indifferent. But I'm a very important person, aren't I? You should at least give me some coupons. Satan's face was covered in black lines from anger. Are you treating me like a department store? In the end, Jae-young threatened, if you don't give me a discount, I'll only deal with little Michael from now on. Michael immediately looked expectant. Is that true, Master? Satan panicked and immediately zeroed it out for Jae-young. Then 40,000 will do. Jae-young directly cut off 5,000. Little Satan, I think 35,000 is enough. At this moment, Satan was sweating profusely. 36,500 can't go any lower. Otherwise, I won't help you with possession anymore. Jae-young eagerly grabbed Satan's hand. Then it settled. Pop-up notification, Necromancer possession ended. You consumed 36,500 credibility points. Achieved the title first person to extort a demon king. Character negotiation skill greatly increased. Will have the upper hand when negotiating with players and NPCs. Negotiation skill rose to level 7. Jae-young was stunned. Could it be because little Satan is a demon king that such rewards were given? At this moment, Satan was in great pain. This way, I won't be able to earn any credibility points at all. Jae-young let out a long breath. All in all, the Duke's territory is chaotic enough. Now that the game's tricks are done, it's time to reveal the tricks in reality. Little Satan, little Michael, you two wait for me in the game. I'll be right back. After all, this matter still needs me to wrap it up. You'll know what it is in a moment. After Jae-young exited Arcadia, he immediately opened the Chaotic Games official website. Pictures of Duke Von Hern's territory had already topped the trending searches. There was a flood of abuse toward the game planners online. Next, Jae-young was going to make another explosive revelation, pushing this event to its climax. It's time to let the GM group receive their deserved lesson. Jae-young exported the video that little Satan and little Michael had followed and filmed, and to bring down the GM group, all that was left was to edit the beginning and end. The video content basically said that Jaegyu Choi had colluded with Duke Von Hern in advance. One would start a war, while the other would hoard supplies. When the time came, both would profit from the national crisis, turning a 1 trillion investment into 10 trillion in revenue. All of this was made possible by those foolish players who only knew how to play games. Very good, editing complete. Next step, post it to his Destroyer's daily account. As a result, early the next morning, this video broke through 1 million views. Players in the comments immediately pointed their spears at the GM group. I knew the recent surge in grain and weapon prices was fishy. Takeshi, GM really knows how to destroy goodwill. At this moment, Jaegyu Choi, on the other side of the computer, was already sweating profusely, his pupils constricted. How could our conversation possibly have been leaked? It couldn't possibly have been heard in that situation. Angry enough to punch and break the screen, Jaegyu Choi declared, "I will tear him apart at any cost." At this time, the butler reminded him, "Young master, what's important now isn't catching the culprit, but that the chairman has called." Oh no, father knows about this now. Jaegyu Choi was sweating all over as he connected the call. After all, the 1 trillion loss would have to be fully compensated by the GM Group. Meanwhile, news reports disclose the GM Group's criminal facts. Currently, Arcadia officials have stated their position, saying they have evidence of GM Group's massive hoarding. But what's astounding is that the investment amount reached 1 trillion. At this time, in the minister's office of Arcadia officials, President Mion Lee only had one comment about this. It's perfect to make GM Group an example for other envious groups. Actually, what Mion Lee was most interested in was this player controlling everything behind the scenes. That is, this video user named Destroyers Daily. First filming the slime siege battle until the destruction of the newbie village. Then he tricked players into becoming iron mine slaves, making players billion-1 gaming equipment become mining machines. In the game, they were still ruthlessly exploited by NPCs. Now he's created this Duke Von Hern incident. He really has caused huge waves in both worlds. Is he trying to tell us that the game's plot is too boring? At this moment, this mysterious player, in Mion Lee's words, was actually dozing off in class because of Jae Young's actions. In a sense, it changed players' understanding of Arcadia, in the classmates' view. Arcadia's events not only repeatedly occupied news headlines, but the NPCs inside even had independent consciousness. It was really like a second reality. Of course, Jaegyu Choi's fate was very clear. Becoming the public enemy of all players was inevitable. Jae Young had successfully taught him a lesson. However, at this moment, the lecturer suddenly announced, starting from today, the computer engineering department will be officially renamed to Virtual Reality Engineering College. Today's computer industry can no longer keep up with world trends. The game Arcadia, I believe everyone here has experienced it. If we cannot keep up with world changes, what awaits us is only elimination. Next, your senior will teach you. He now works inside the Arcadia virtual game. Hello everyone, I'm Byokjun Kang. As everyone knows, direct communication between brain and machine is the key to virtualizing games. So next, I will test each student's synchronization rate between brain and game. The higher the tested value, the stronger the talent in virtual games will be. So what will the protagonist Jae Young's synchronization rate be? Currently, the highest known game synchronization rate is 26%. However, the top student felt like he had reached the peak of his life, just because he tested at 21% synchronization rate. So he pointed at the slacker protagonist and taunted, "I'm looking forward to seeing you make a fool of yourself." But hearing this, Jae Young just laughed out loud. He got into the testing capsule at the fastest speed, already impatient to see the honor student's face turn red with embarrassment. The next instant the test began. The result suddenly shot up from 3% to 15%, but still didn't stop rising. 20%, 30%, 45%. Jae Young had actually pushed the value up to 55% in one go. The energy bursting from the instrument was dazzling. The assistant quickly told the teacher to stop the test. This equipment must be malfunctioning. But the experienced testing teacher said this wasn't a malfunction. Rather, it was because the test subject had an extremely terrifying synchronization rate, which caused this rare state of brain-machine fusion. Finally, Jae Young's test result was 92.89%. Truly an astonishing number. The honor student's face felt hot at this moment, thinking back to his earlier taunt. It turned out he was the real Joker. Then Jae Young proudly removed the equipment. What, only 92%? Too bad it didn't reach 100%. After class, Jae Young saw that his posted video had exceeded 80 million views and earned 14 million in traffic revenue. Now he could finally pay off his installment payments for the game capsule early. But looking at the seaweed rice roll in his hand, he vowed to earn another 100 million. After all, as long as he caused trouble and chaos in the game, the system would reward him with a certain amount of credibility points. Then when he exchanged equipment with a divine and demonic duo, wouldn't he achieve financial freedom before graduating college? And because when Jae Young was causing trouble earlier, the spirit possession borrowed was the ability of the necromancer Lich Argamer, and he led a group of undead soldiers. Not only killed the kingdom's NPC Duke, but also led the undead army to destroy all of their territory. It immediately angered the representative of the holy faction. So the NPC Pope declared with imperial authority to search out all evil things in this land and judge them. But what players didn't know was that the ones who would suffer next would be them. As a result, when Jae Young logged into the game, still troubled about where to cause chaos next, he unexpectedly received a server-wide new quest. But different from other players, he could choose which faction he wanted to join. After just a moment of thought, Jae Young had already conceived a new way to cause chaos. And the female player with the ID Black Flame Dragon, because she was the server's highest level black mage, was determined by the system to be the strongest in the evil faction. Therefore, the associated quest hunt the witch was generated. Holy faction players needed to judge 50 million evil people and execute the Lich Argamer. It turns out that in the Holy Demonic War 1,000 years ago, two factions emerged, the Holy Profession faction and the Evil Profession faction. The people of the two factions were like water and fire, incompatible. Under this game background, players' hostile awareness would also be subtly influenced, making Arcadia's wild areas very hot for PK. The friction between the two factions always maintained a balanced state. First, there was no excuse for all-out war. Second, the Pope prohibited adventurers from PK in towns. However, now, the excuse for all-out war had appeared. The rules set by the Pope had also changed. Town PK would be temporarily allowed, and even the balance of power tilted toward the side of justice. Not because there were too many holy faction players, but because the evil faction hadn't yet had a leader appear like the Pope. So the first step in protagonist Jae Young's plan to cause chaos was to balance the scales in the game. Let the necromancer Lich Argamer, because of himself, descend again upon the continent of Arcadia, but not attached to himself this time. So Jae Young had Satan set out now to find the female player with ID Black Flame Dragon, and her existence would be the core of all Jae Young's chaos. However, at this moment she was exhausted and was being surrounded and attacked by a group of paladins. Brothers, aren't you curious? If you kill the server's #1 black mage, what kind of special treasure chest you'll get? Just as as the holy sword energy was about to hit at the crucial moment, at the last second, only saw Demon King Satan use his pinky to deflect all the incoming sword energy. The lead paladin only asked puzzledly, could it be a familiar from the demon realm that intervened? This immediately made Satan, as the Demon King, surge with killing intent. An energy ball the size of a booger immediately floated to the paladin's front. The next instant, bone-piercing pain swept through the player's entire body. Satan pointed forward, and hellfire annihilated the paladin. The remaining holy profession players felt chills down their spines. As Satan released the black energy in his hand, the players immediately entered a fallen state. Satan smiled wickedly and said, look at your own bodies before speaking. Don't you feel like you'll split apart the next second? Sure enough, the next instant all the players before him shattered and died. In contrast, the female player received dozens of pop-ups. You have encountered the most ancient darkness. Looking back at the little demon before her, the female player seemed to think of something and immediately knelt before Satan, because she was certain the one before her was none other than Satan, Lord of Chaos. Satan was quite surprised by this. The girl immediately explained, after all, I chose the black mage profession. It would be strange if I didn't recognize the Demon King. Being able to meet you is my honor. Satan pretended to be profound. This girl is quite likable. Just no muscle at all. Looks soft and weak. No wonder you're being pushed around by the holy faction. I have a reason for finding you. Are you willing to do something with me? Hearing this, the girl's pretty face turned red. Demon Lord Satan, please speak freely. Satan looked down from above and said, as the server's #1 black mage, I want to make you the symbol of evil. The holy side has the Pope in command. How can we evil faction not have a witch? As Satan traced out an ancient formation, a contract magic circle appeared beneath the girl's feet. As a fellow black mage, she could clearly sense how terrifying the magic power was on the other end of the formation. Satan frowned very seriously. Human, I've placed a big bet on you. Hope you do well. The next second, the necromancer Lich Argamer surged out from the magic circle. Pop-up notification, you have absorbed the Lich's essence. Congratulations on changing profession to Maestro of Death. Witch hunt quest changed. As a member of the evil faction, please eliminate the Imperial Pope of the Holy Faction and occupy the Maroon Kingdom. But what surprised the girl wasn't just this. Because of being possessed by Argamer, her character attributes actually increased tenfold. Such terrifying ability values would surely let her, already server #1, jump straight to becoming the strongest on the entire server. According to Jae-young's thinking, just balancing power between holy and evil, the game world still wasn't chaotic enough. Then Satan took out a scroll. Come witch, memorize the contents of this word for word. But when the girl saw the contents, her pupils constricted. Satan opened the record button. I'm going to start filming. Looking at Arcadia's situation, it was just as Jae-young imagined. Holy faction players began forming teams to sweep through evil profession players everywhere, angering evil faction players into successively quitting the game. Now was the moment the evil faction yearned for a hero to appear. So little Satan's recording came in handy. Then the final battle between evil and holy quietly began. At the moment Jae-young posted the video, the witch declared, as the server's #1 black mage, I will make an announcement representing everyone in the evil faction. Currently evil users are being maliciously killed by paladins. The game balance has thus collapsed. So the evil profession's leader in Arcadia will be me, ranked first in black magic. No, it will be the Lich Argamer who commands the Undead Legion, to lead everyone together with the Undead Army, to resist this holy empire's despicable methods. This video being released would definitely attract back a large wave of evil faction players. But Jae-young never expected that Arcadia officials would suddenly announce, due to the huge power disparity between evil and holy factions, the 24-hour death penalty for all evil faction players would be cancelled. This way, evil faction users who were afraid of the death penalty all returned. Isn't this the paladin who just killed me? No matter how many times I die, I will chase you to the depths of hell. But the holy faction didn't surrender. They organized support teams and began helping each other. The two sides became evenly matched. Thus battles began occurring 24 hours non-stop in the Maroon Kingdom. Pop-up notification, congratulations on intensifying the conflict between holy and evil factions. Arcadia's war between good and evil has completely lost control. Congratulations on gaining 63,921 credibility points. Jae-young didn't think his actions would have such great influence power. He had to thank the game company for canceling the death penalty. This let Jae-young reap the benefits as a fisherman, because Jae-young would get more credibility points the bigger he made things. So angel possession activated, character selected, Knight of Adversity, and Pilgrimage Cardial. Jae-young had done his homework before possession, because 1,000 years ago it was this holy knight who pierced through the Lich Argamer with one sword, then imprisoned him in the demon realm's abyss, unable to escape for thousands of years. However, that sword named the Eternal Finale was now firmly gripped in Jae-young's hand. This was Jae-young's final measure to reap everything. At this moment he belonged to neither good nor evil faction, but acted as a troublemaker to execute the task's instigator. Meanwhile, Black Flame Dragon had already lost herself in invincibility. Thousands of undead behind her obeyed her as master. Anyone would feel invincible, obviously. The situation had now tipped to evil's side, facing several weak soldiers guarding outside the palace. The witch only needed to release a bit of her aura to make enemies tremble in fear. Under the pressure of thousands of undead, screams kept coming from the palace, until the palace doors were pushed open. A deathly silent palace. An empty throne. The witch stood before the throne stunned for a long time. I really can't believe it. In the end, I obtained the ruling rights to the Maroon Kingdom. Historically unprecedented, becoming the first player to annex a country. Now that I'm nobility, how many gold coins can I squeeze from the Maroon Kingdom in the future? Just thinking about it makes me happy. But at this time, the witch was awakened by a voice. A black-robed boy stood at the palace entrance. The thousands of undead soldiers outside all died by his holy sword. Who are you? Did you kill the undead at the entrance? The next instant, the witch launched curse arrows surging towards Jae-young. Jae-young immediately revealed a wicked smile, murmuring the holy knight's incantation. The next instant awakened, bursting with dazzling golden light, easily repelling the demon arrows. A flash of shock crossed the witch's heart, because the holy sword in Jae-young's hand now even made her soul tremble. I say, since you obtained the power to destroy balance, even took over a country, you should be satisfied now, right? The witch panicked. How do you know about these plans? Who exactly are you? Jae-young's mouth unconsciously curled up. You ask who I am? I am your creditor, come to reclaim the power I lent you. Seeing the holy sword in Jae-young's hand. Argamer inside the witch only felt inner fear and unease. Pop-up notification, you are bound by huge holy restraints. The eternal finale views you as its judgment target. The witch's heart was only filled with endless unwillingness and disbelief. Jae-young, wrapped in holy aura, suddenly smiled wickedly and said, "My lady, it's time to remove Cinderella's magic and for me to take back the power I lent you." The witch ground her teeth. "How can you say I'm just server number 1? What right do you, an unranked rookie, have to make me fear?" The next instant, magic representing summoning was generated. The witch tried to complete the chant at fastest speed, but was hurriedly interrupted by the necromancer inside her. "Contractor, you must escape at fastest speed, otherwise there will only be one outcome." It turns out Jae-young's holy sword was named the Eternal Finale. Previously, the Lich Argamer was sealed for 1,000 years by this holy sword, but it was already too late for the witch to escape. Might as well fight to the end. As her chanting ended, 3 mid-level undead were resurrected and summoned by the magic formation, but Jae-young remained calm and unhurried, only heard the Eternal Finale emit a hum. A sword light longer than him burst forth. Pop-up notification, anti-magic power activated, damage against evil attributes increased by 80%. What use is that? Your sword light needs to be as thick and long as mine. Come, pitiful little undead. Your soul should rest too. The next instant, the mid-level undead were destroyed by holy light. The witch felt immense pressure. If this kind of sword light hits me, will it be the same outcome? I say, what kind of background does this holy sword of yours have? Jae-young wasn't sure either. After all, this was the hero's manifested weapon from angel possession. The next instant, Jae-young used sword light to lift the witch into the night sky. Holy and evil energy burst forth, shining with the stars and moon. Surrounding players watched with envious eyes. Are we playing the same game? Players with good eyesight immediately recognized it was the witch Black Flame Dragon. But how come they'd never seen the opponent before? Taking advantage of the hovering time, the witch quickly released black magic summoning, but the undead knight just about to emerge was scared back by the light of Jae-young's holy sword. Pop-up notification, undead knight sinks into eternal rest. Undead summoning temporarily unavailable. The witch thought Jae-young's holy sword could only restrict summoning a few times, but she regretted when she tried again. No matter how many times she summoned, the holy sword was more efficient than a demon detecting mirror, making undead melt and die in minutes, and a necromancer without undead was destined for defeat. The holy sword was simply their natural enemy. My lady, it's time to end this. At this moment, though, Jae-young was covered in holy light. In the witch's eyes, he was the most evil demon king. Skill Annihilation Judgment activated. This skill ignores all armor when hit and has 500% damage bonus against evil attribute opponents. Witch pop-up notification, you are being greatly consumed by the holy sword. The Lich Argamer's soul lets out painful wails. Fatal damage puts you in dying state. Before death, the witch was very confused. Why did you do this to me? The witch hunt quest should have ended long ago. Even if you defeat me, it won't do any good for the holy faction. Jae-young's mouth curled up. I was deliberately waiting, and you had to die after occupying the Maroon Kingdom for the final piece in my plan to complete. But you don't need to hate me, because after this, regardless of holy or evil faction, will become happy because of your death. This is the meaning for which I created you. At this time, Argamer recognized the person before him. Isn't this the player who borrowed my power before? After the judgment blade swung out, the witch let out an unwilling howl. At the same time, the Lich Argamer's soul was also heavily wounded by Jae-young. Pop-up notification, the contract between Argamer and the witch has been forcibly nullified. The historically strongest necromancer thus turned to dust. Jae-young looked at the holy sword in his hand and sighed. Don't feel too wronged, my lady, because the moment this quest appeared, your fate was already decided. Actually, Black Flame Dragon felt more reluctance than resentment. Although this all came virtual, but at least I sat on the throne, experienced unprecedented power. It can be counted as enjoying myself. The moment the female player died, Jae-young ended the angel possession. Pop-up notification, Lich Argamer sinks into eternal rest. The witch hunt quest holy faction has also achieved victory conditions. At this moment, what Jae-young anticipated was, under these ambiguous circumstances, what kind of conclusion would Arcadia make? Meanwhile, AI Alice received a red conflict pop-up. She began calculating the final result of this witch hunt quest. Because the holy faction's victory conditions were to kill 50,000 evil players and kill the Lich Argamer. Currently, the holy faction had only completed one of these, but while the 50,000 kills had reached over 40,000, it still hadn't fully met the target. Looking at the evil faction, first was to kill the Pope, second was to occupy the Maroon Kingdom. But the evil faction had only completed occupying the Maroon Kingdom without killing the Pope. In terms of completion rate, the holy faction's weight could reach 96%. But both sides only completed one condition, and the final result could only be one. So server-wide announcement, holy faction and evil faction tie. This caused holy faction players to discuss heatedly. Then pop-up notification, holy faction will distribute rewards based on user contribution. Future hidden profession trigger rate for holy faction increases. This was equivalent to increasing the chance of winning the lottery. However, because the witch occupied the Maroon Kingdom, the Maroon Kingdom cannot become a war target for the next year, which means now the Maroon Kingdom is the stronghold for evil profession players, but immediately attracted the attention of demon realm existences. Perhaps it might develop into a demon realm. Finally, pop-up notification, associated quest witch hunt for stirring forgotten darkness ends. Arcadia Continent law activated. Prohibits indiscriminate PK between holy and evil. The game developers all wanted to grab Jae-young and beat him up, because achieving such a result was all planned by protagonist Jae-young. At this moment, he was admiring his own exclusive reward. Congratulations, host, on achieving historic achievement, subverting the situation of Arcadia's second continent. The balance of good and evil obtained equilibrium. Congratulations on gaining 210,000 credibility point reward. And this was Jae-young's way of strengthening his troublemaker profession. Really looking forward to what interesting things will happen next. Then, pop-up notification, profession second stage quest complete, special conditions achieved. Distributing special reward for Bard of Anarchy profession, beginning to determine player's contribution. The next instant, Jae-young jumped up from the throne in fright. This reward really solved his urgent problem. Congratulations on obtaining skill grant credibility. As the name suggests, can grant credibility to non-living objects. So he immediately took out his newbie equipment. Rusty iron sword. This was a weapon made for newbies. Attack power was only a pitiful single digit. The divine and demonic pets mocked, "Master, are you trying to remember the hardships?" Then Jae-young raised the rusty sword and activated the granting skill. The next instant golden light full of cause and effect burst from the sword body. Game pop-up notification. Has browsed this item's properties and passed. Enhancement requires 9,000 credibility points. 9,000 was equivalent to the price of obtaining an epic level weapon. Jae-young decisively chose yes. After all, curiosity overcame his stinginess. Hope the enhancement result won't disappoint me. Pop-up notification. Credibility grant successful. Rusty sword settings have changed. The next second, the rusty sword emitted painful wails. Scenes of Jae-young previously using the rusty sword to slaughter newbies suddenly surged to the sword's surface. Pop-up notification. Rusty sword enhancement complete. Congratulations on obtaining new equipment Bloodsucker, and is the server's first unique attribute equipment. Attack power increased by 5,000% compared to before. Durability increased by 100,000%. Even appeared with godly properties like Bloodthirst and Berserk. Only the appearance didn't change much. Jae-young thought. Just a newbie equipment was already this godly then, so Jae-young impatiently opened the warehouse. Took out the previously used mining demon cave destroyer. Wonder what would happen after enhancing such an epic level equipment. Could mining efficiency also increase thousandfold? Jae-young eagerly granted it credibility. The result was obvious. Enhancement failed. The reason was this item had no properties in past. The rusty sword could be enhanced, because I used it to slaughter tens of thousands of newbie players. The demon cave destroyer even dug up an angel's coffin. Jae-young could only think of one difference. Grant targets need to have caused direct impact on the Arcadia continent. But when Demon King Satan heard Jae-young consumed 9,000 points to upgrade trash equipment, then still wanted to sell it, Satan felt it wasn't worth it. Master, if you need gold coins, just tell us. 1 credibility point I'll exchange for 1 gold coin. 9,000 credibility points. In the real world, that's almost 100 million. But Jae-young looked disdainful. I have Baron Mikhail's monthly dividends, plus earnings from being a game blogger. At least 8 figures coming in monthly, already achieved financial freedom. But what puzzled Satan was, since you created Bloodsucker, why not use it yourself? Actually, Jae-young had thought about it. But if this weapon appeared in Arcadia's auction house, what interesting things would happen? So just put it up for auction and see. As a result, the moment Bloodsucker appeared in the auction house, the entire Arcadia player base instantly boiled. In reality, some people would sell houses and divorce to buy it. Some would sell companies to raise money to buy it. Some guilds would spend all their funds to buy it overnight. A newbie weapon was frantically fought over by the whole network. In the blink of an eye, bidding climbed to over 5,000 gold coins. 1 gold coin equals 100,000. This sword would be worth over 50 million. You should know equipment in the game has 8 levels total. Magic, special, rare, unique, epic, legendary, mythic. But unique level equipment hasn't even been designed by the design team yet. Could it be a system bug? So officials righteously stepped in, directly forced Bloodsucker's bidding to stop, and treated this equipment as a bug to recall. Naturally, the customer service department was once again cursed by a group of players. But Arcadia's operations department had to prevent equipment that would destroy game balance from appearing. Afterwards, anywhere users gathered in the game would definitely have people discussing this equipment. But in some people's view, more eye-catching than the word unique was the auctioneer ID named Dex. Is this Dex that Dex? The genius player from Esports Shield? Playing against esports players was like playing with kids. After all, he created the record of 1v God descending as a casual night player. For casual players, this guy was legendary. But for some, he was a question. For some pro players, he was more of an arch enemy. So the news that Jae-young was playing Arcadia spread like this. But Jae-young inexplicably had a unique level equipment confiscated. Naturally didn't feel good. But Jae-young was really too stable. He thought about it, this equipment's performance hadn't reached ridiculous levels. Then could it be understood that the game officials were deliberately targeting me, and they can't investigate my true identity? Even with my ID exposed, they can't track me. Not even giving me a phone call. Instead, choosing the extreme method of recalling equipment, most likely wanting me to actively contact them. Then even if my ID is exposed in the future, they can't track me, and cannot take compulsory measures against me personally. Could this also be the power possessed by the hidden profession Bard of Anarchy? Can openly cause trouble, even game operations cannot interfere. What made Jae-young more curious was, who exactly created such a terrifying hidden profession? Anyway, Bloodsucker is gone but can make another one. But it proved my personal safety is guaranteed. In the future, causing trouble will have no more concerns. Just as Jae-young had guessed. The one who ordered the equipment confiscation was none other than the National Server Operations Director. Because this sword's form was identical to the one in the newbie slaughtherer's hand. At that time, even with the director's authority, they couldn't check his user information. This time, they similarly couldn't check who this Dex was. The two must have some connection. And this equipment worth 50 million was just confiscated by operations. I just don't believe this guy won't show his hand. Dex, your every move is within my grasp. Director worked overtime at the customer service department for a whole week, nearly exhausted waiting, but still couldn't get Jae-young's call. Damn it, Dex can actually stay this calm. So the director reported this matter to his superior. President Mion Lee, you must uphold justice for me. Director worked overtime at the customer service department for a whole week, nearly exhausted waiting, but still couldn't get Jae-young's call. I remember department head Ma Young-han mentioned a game activity plan before. Yes, exactly what you're thinking of. Get ready, we can start implementing tomorrow. Sure enough, the corny activity name was called the No Bamboozle Tournament. For this, Arcadia even issued a server-wide announcement. And the rules of the bamboo spear battle were as simple as the name. No matter what level player, one poke and they die. Player's weapon is only bamboo spear, although skills can be released. But only bamboo spear can deal damage. Only the last surviving player can win. Jae-young saw at a glance that this activity was organized for him, because they only knew there was someone called Dex, but didn't know this user's game IP appearance. Of course, the final survivor can choose any equipment from the users they killed. Officials will give them an identical copy to take. Jae-young revealed a wicked smile. This activity is really too interesting to decline the battle. Bring it on. See how I stir up your event this time. A week later, inside the map of the Bamboo Spear Battle Tournament, the No Bamboozle Tournament. After entering, Jaeyoung was shocked. Little Satan was furious that his master had entered the alternate dimension space without permission. As Jaeyoung tried to explain about the alternate dimension space, a voice suddenly rang out, "You have a hidden class, don't you?" Seeing Jaeyoung's reaction, the other party laughed. A tall, leggy beauty appeared. "Looks like I guessed right." Jaeyoung broke out in cold sweat, suspecting the woman could see Little Satan and Michael. Passerby players recognized her. The woman was the second-ranked Starlight Witch. "My name is Stella, I'm a mage. My hidden class is Starlight Witch. You have a summoner-type hidden class, don't you? You actually have 2 phantom beasts. If you don't want to expose your identity, I won't press further." Jaeyoung could only laugh awkwardly and say, "Thank you very much. I've heard of the Starlight Witch." Stella then urged Jaeyoung to leave quickly. Jaeyoung hurried away. "What terrible luck running into trouble like this. I'm definitely going to run into this woman again." Meanwhile, the highly anticipated Bamboo Spear battle officially began. The NPC changed the map to a forest. "You have acquired the event item Bamboo Spear." Jaeyoung held the Bamboo Spear in amazement. "This is incredibly powerful." The NPC introduced the first phase of the Bamboo Spear battle. You just need to survive the brawl among 3,292,671 players until only 1,000 remain. Then the Bamboo Spear battle will enter the second phase. As soon as the game started, just like before, everyone was fighting desperately. At this moment, a level 25 player one-shot killed a level 100 expert with a sneak attack and smugly popped champagne. But the next second, they died under someone else's bamboo spear. Some players blindly slaughtered to satisfy their desires, while other players relied on absolute strength to build their own teams. In contrast, Jaeyoung was hiding in a corner, quietly preparing to cheat. After confirming with Satan that dissension could be used, Jaeyoung immediately activated soul summoning. The dissension target he chose this time was called Twilight Phantom. In this bamboo spear battle, what players feared most was bamboo spears that could break through defenses. But Twilight Phantom could be immune to all physical attacks. At this moment, the player who sneak attacked Jaeyoung had their brain freeze due to the ineffective attack. Jaeyoung turned his head with a slight smile. "Didn't you understand? You can't hit me." As the bamboo spear thrust out, the ambusher was already eliminated and dead. Jaeyoung knew very well that the most important thing in this event was to survive with a low profile. But if there were no witnesses, he wouldn't attract attention either. Then let's quickly eliminate these small fries completely. Players with leadership skills in the mid-upper range started forming the Bamboo Spear Reform Group. They claimed it was to punish players who committed violence with bamboo spears, but actually it was just to survive. Jaeyoung scoffed at this. In such a big forest, you find all kinds of birds. With the leader's command, the entire team rushed at Jaeyoung alone. But Jaeyoung wasn't afraid. The enemies stabbed hundreds of times, but did no damage at all. Jaeyoung smiled wickedly with a hint of mockery. "My passive ability in non-combat state completely ignores physical attacks. As for what you're calling cheating," the next instant, Jaeyoung achieved the legendary 4 breaks per second. The leader was stunned, speechless. "What is this guy's game synchronization rate?" "Next, it's your turn. Break for me." With the Bamboo Spear's extreme speed boost, it instantly completed penetration. In just 3 seconds, the newly formed Bamboo Spear Reform Group disbanded on the spot. The invincible Jaeyoung hoped to encounter skilled opponents, otherwise the game would be too boring. At this moment, a pop-up notified you have defeated 1,000 people, and currently, the number of surviving players had reached 2,813. Earlier, hundreds of thousands could be eliminated in an hour, but ever since small fries started grouping together, the numbers decreased more slowly. "Looks like I'll have to pull them out one by one myself." Just then, Jaeyoung heard a girl's scream nearby. The next second, the girl couldn't break in time. Her body crashed straight into Jaeyoung's, the two of them merging at this moment. It turned out the girl was being chased by the second-ranked mage in the server. The Starlight Witch said smugly to Jaeyoung, "Since you've survived until now, it means you have something special. I hope you won't interfere in matters between women." Jaeyoung thought for a moment and basically understood, but faced with the red-haired girl's plea for protection, Jaeyoung turned and walked away. "Miss, I have no obligation to help you in the first place. Besides, the opponent is the server's second-ranked mage. Fighting her right now would do me no good." But just as Jaeyoung was leaving, a pop-up showed a quest update. After reading the content, Jaeyoung wanted to curse. At this moment, the Starlight Witch gradually approached the girl, just as the girl was about to accept death, at the critical moment before being pierced by the bamboo spear. Jaeyoung still teleported to block the fatal blow for the girl. "Didn't you say you were leaving?" Jaeyoung gritted his teeth. How was I supposed to know there'd be such a damn quest, having to protect such a silly fool? It turned out Jaeyoung received the third phase quest for his hidden class recruit future allies. Whenever he encountered a player with a specific mark above their head, that was the target he needed to recruit. Obviously, the red-haired girl had this mark above her head. It turned out the girl was the apprentice of the NPC Great Mage Star Moon. The Great Mage created Starlight Magic and Moonlight Magic. The successor to Starlight Magic was the server's second-ranked Stella, the Starlight Witch standing before them, and the successor to Moonlight Magic was naturally the red-haired girl Galena before them. These were gifts the Great Mage left for the two before departing on their journey. If these two grimoires were combined, they could become a great mage transcending human limits. But for Galena, this opportunity wasn't a chance to become stronger, but a curse of being hunted for life. That's why there was just now's chase scene. The forceful Jaeyoung demanded Stella unconditionally spare her. The Starlight Witch frowned. "What if I refuse?" Jaeyoung showed a wicked smile. "Then, let's fight. I can only eliminate you to protect her." Stella immediately took out her magic staff. "Just you, with your beginner equipment, you waste?" As Stella chanted, the magic chain flash activated. The release was so fast Jaeyoung couldn't dodge. It turned out this was a magic combining slowness, dullness, and weakness into one. Then Stella released Flame Lightning, Ice Prison, Magic Entanglement. 3 skills with low power but negative effects came one after another. Although Jaeyoung could ignore physical attacks, he couldn't block negative effects, but he just endured it all, and he had another purpose for doing this. "Damn, my vision is blurred." Until Starlight Stella walked right up to him. In her eyes, Jaeyoung was like a lamb to the slaughter, but in Jaeyoung's eyes, Stella was that lamb. Just as the bamboo spear was about to pierce Jaeyoung, a pop-up showed you cannot attack this target. Stella's pupils constricted. The next second, her abdomen felt a sharp pain. Jaeyoung completed a counter kill against the server's second-ranked mage. "You were destined to lose from the start of this battle, because I'm immune to all physical attacks." Before dying, saying, Stella spewed some salty trash talk, but still died by Jae-young's hand. The red-haired girl watching from the side was dumbfounded. What kind of monster is this guy? Then Galena ran over and bowed 90 degrees to Jae-young to express her thanks. After 3 minutes of lengthy explanation, Galena finally finished telling Jae-young about the grudge between her and Stella. So, what are your plans for the future? Being hunted throughout the game by the server's second-ranked mage doesn't sound pleasant. From Jae-young's inquiry, he learned the girl was currently level 43. The server's strongest player was already over level 100, so level 43 was mid to lower tier. But despite being level 43, Galena was still wearing level 15 beginner gear. About this, the girl became evasive. Running everywhere costs money, so I can't help it. But Jae-young suddenly thought of something. Don't I have the plausibility bestowal skill? Plus she's the ally chosen by my hidden class. Maybe it really is possible. So Jae-young excitedly approached the girl. Quick, take off all your equipment and give it to me. This was a noob set for level 15 players to wear. After equipping, it awkwardly extended the host's high-tier magic release speed. But after Jae-young enhanced it with plausibility bestowal, it instantly became server-unique grade noob divine equipment. However, to pass the second round of the bamboo spear battle, Jae-young thought of a bug to reap the fisherman's profit. It turned out the terrifying bonus of unique grade equipment wasn't in releasing high-tier magic, but that it allowed mages to use tier 1 magic infinitely. Because unique grade equipment reduced tier 1 magic consumption by 99%, and the unique grade staff allowed the character to cast without chanting. Just then, 2 blind players attacked. Jae-young smiled gently. Galena, these 2 small fries are yours. Perfect for testing the equipment's performance. The 2 immediately jumped in rage, then leaped up rushing at Galena. A pop-up showed your set effect activated. The barrier that normally needed 2 seconds of chanting was released in the blink of an eye, but tier 1 magic defense was too weak. The girl had no choice. In 1 second, she released over 20 of what were supposed to be defensive barriers, but the girl used them as knockback magic. The noob divine equipment's weakness was insufficient damage, as long as she didn't face high-level players. Even if opponents had numerical advantage, Galena didn't need to worry, because with just tier 1 magic missiles, she could release 100 or 80 per second. Then, after condensing and releasing 100 magic missiles, the explosive power was enough to instantly kill any mid-level player. Finally, after killing these 2 clowns with a bamboo spear, a pop-up showed exactly 1,000 survivors remaining. The first round of the bamboo spear battle had ended, and what Jae-young didn't know was that today was the birth of the future PvP maniac Galena. At this moment, the allies' advantage was already apparent. Due to Galena's joining, the allies' performance in the game could also help Jae-young gain credibility points, and the remaining 1,000 players were all teleported back to the initial plaza. At this moment, the referee announced the new rules for the second round, due to discovering players with physical damage immunity in the first round. From now on, being hit by bamboo spears will also count as magic damage. This meant Jae-young's absolute defense couldn't block bamboo spears anymore. This clearly showed the officials were deliberately targeting him, but Jae-young laughed like a pig hearing this. Little Satan, now it's my turn to party. However, at this moment, the referee added another new rule to balance the bamboo spear battle. All player equipment will be disabled, meaning the just enhanced noob divine equipment was no longer useful. With such difficult conditions, how would Jae-young manage to dominate? However, from now on, poison gas will spread from the map's outer edges to the central area. The poison gas speed equals human running speed. At this moment, the referee announced the second round of the bamboo spear battle had begun. Please don't stop, everyone move. However, at this moment, Jae-young noticed a new loophole in the second round. At the same time, Jae-young proposed splitting up with Galena. Galena thought she was being used again, but Jae-young explained realistically, if I wanted to abandon you now, I wouldn't have saved you in the first place. But I'm very happy to have Galena as my partner. A pop-up showed Dex has sent you a friend request. Learning that Jae-young was the esports genius Dex, Galena's expression conveyed endless shock. Jae-young gently stroked Galena's forehead. If possible, let's meet in the third round, because my next move might not guarantee your safety. So see you later, Galena. Then Jae-young activated Demon Dissension again. Come. Poison King Agakale, as the name suggested. His ability was poison resistance, essentially invulnerable to all poisons. The moment the dissension completed, Jae-young even began developing an affinity for toxicity. The intent of the second bamboo spear battle round is to make us walk away from the poison gas, but it doesn't say we can't do the opposite. Players who fear poison will only gather in the map center, and I just need to avoid elimination to pass unharmed. Once 1,000 people are completely consumed by poison gas, I can reap the fisherman's profit. A pop-up showed you have entered the toxic zone. The next second, the passive skill invulnerable to all poisons activated. Special skill blood poison generation activated. You can absorb surrounding poison gas into your blood. Just as Jae-young predicted, this level of poison gas compared to the Poison King was child's play. Jae-young didn't hesitate to use Dissension twice with credibility points, just for the championship reward. At this moment, in the map's center, because the safe zone shrank, a brilliant battle inevitably erupted. Countless skills bombarded wildly, yet from the massacre emerged one strongest king. Her ID was Cassius. At this moment, 4 players in the central area decided to team up against her, but she wasn't panicked at all. She directly used the bamboo spear as a sword. The game sword techniques she used were no longer limited to character skills, but more of her own custom operations. Because in this competition, only bamboo spears could achieve fatal kills. At this moment, she was targeted by a hidden archer, but her keen perception even gave her time to control the character to dodge. Remember, the archer was hiding 800 meters away. Cassius even precisely captured the archer's position. In the blink of an eye, she reached the archer's location. She leaped up and used the bamboo spear like a long spear. By the time the archer reacted, it was over. The clever Dragon Slayer break was completed mid-air with full charge. But what troubled Cassius was that, despite her dazzling maneuvers, that guy still hadn't shown up yet. Dex, where the hell are you hiding? Because at this moment, only 2 players survived the second bamboo spear battle round. A pop-up showed second round of bamboo spear battle has ended. The third round of bamboo spear battle will be the 1v decisive moment. But Jae-young was still hiding in the poison fog without coming out, but the poison gas was still shrinking. As long as he waited long enough, the one who survived in the end would be him. The thought of getting rewards for free made him happy. At this moment, Jae-young was being targeted by the story planning department head. A level 200 player couldn't resist this poison gas, yet Jae-young had been fined for a full 30 minutes. The department head's eyes were bloodshot with rage. At this rate, he'll definitely win. So he immediately used level 3 management authority to access the game AI Alice. Alice notified. Successfully adjusted poison fog to maximum level and resistance skills nullified. But department head Myung Han using management authority to target players will receive penalties including salary cuts, leave reduction, and meeting with the board of directors. Seeing the punishment was relatively light, Myung Han decisively chose, I'm willing to accept all penalties. Sure enough, Jae-young also received a poison fog change notification. Obviously, this was direct targeting from the officials. This poison gas effect even panicked Satan. Even if the Poison King himself descended, it would be hard to resist. Jae-young looked at the other survivor's ID and wasn't surprised at all. One was himself, the other was called Cassius. As expected, this guy is also after me. The ID is exactly the same as that time. I wonder if she'll be even more formidable in this game Arcadia, because Jae-young reached the Poison Fog central area. A pop-up showed Bamboo Spear Battle 3rd round, decisive battle. At this very moment, the battle officially begins. It turned out Cassius was once defeated by Jae-young. Jae-young's appearance trampled on her 10 years of effort, because 20 years ago, an RPG game swept the globe, until Icarus shut down its servers. The player with ID Cassius had never fallen from being server-wide first, until the player named Dex appeared. Cassius was utterly defeated, even felt her 10 years were wasted, but one action from Jae-young made her completely break down. The server's #1 Dex account was deleted at this moment, and her 10 years of pride as #1 was crushed by Jae-young in a single day. Now Cassius's hidden skill in Arcadia was called Quick Selection, meaning proficiency with all equipment. This allowed her to bring Icarus's combat style here. That's right, Dex, this is my chance to surpass you. But Jae-young gave her no chance at all. The moment Jae-young stepped into the final circle, the final round of the Bamboo Spear Battle quietly began. Since the opponent is her, then Angel Dissension, activate. Select Celestial Throne Master of all weapons Calypso. A pop-up showed Dissension successful, and Calypso's ultimate skill was called King of 10,000 Weapons. Jae-young only had 1 minute to adapt to the new character's skills. Calypso's ability was freely transforming weapons in hand. Daggers, long swords, shields. If you could imagine it, it could be done. And Jae-young's flurry of operations stunned the divine and demonic pets watching from the side. Even if Calypso himself descended, he might not have speed like masters. Alright, practice over. Now let the decisive battle begin. The next instant, Jae-young disappeared from where he stood. When he appeared again, Cassius was forced into defensive blocking. Cassius gritted her teeth staring at her nemesis, hearing Jae-young's mockery. She activated the skill Quick Selection. After cycling through 3 weapons, Cassius chose the longsword she was proud of. Seeing the imminent attack, Jae-young remained calm. Skill King of 10,000 Weapons activated. Like Cassius, Jae-young also conjured a longsword to complete the block. Don't be so surprised. Can only you use equipment switching skills? Cassius stared at Jae-young in disbelief. Then both sides engaged in multiple weapon to switching confrontations. But Jae-young stood at the advantage. Multiple failed clashes created an opening at Cassius's side. In an instant, brilliant sword light bloomed on the rooftop. This Dex guy is deliberately using the same skill as me. Jae-young looked down at Cassius with encouragement, but it only made her angrier. The onslaught like a violent storm was unstoppable, though their skills shared the same origin. Jae-young's King of 10,000 Weapons was more dominant. He only needed to transform to switch equipment, while Cassius had to spend time switching. So Cassius immediately put 100 meters between herself and Jae-young. She inserted the bamboo spear that could deal fatal damage into the ground, then extended her left hand to begin summoning a weapon. Jae-young frowned slightly. What is this guy planning? The next instant, a simple standard treasure sword was drawn by Cassius. The unsheathing sound was like a dragon's roar emerging from the sea, instantly immersing people in passionate battle intent. Jae-young's expression became serious as he pondered how to counter. A sword aura thin as a cicada's wing flashed past his neck. In that fleeting moment, the sword chi broke through the sky. This was Cassius's final ultimate technique. A pop-up showed you have received a fatal wound, fracture, bleeding, and other negative status effects took effect. Because this was the Bamboo Spear Battle, any damage except bamboo spears couldn't be fatal, but could put players into negative states. The next instant, Cassius disappeared from where she stood. Dex, the tables have turned. Are you giving up on counterattacking too? Though frustrated, Jae-young had to admit that defending was currently all he could do. Could this sword have terrifying attribute bonuses? Otherwise, her speed couldn't have improved this much. At this moment, master of all weapons, Calypso suddenly tried to contact Jae-young. At the same time, the angel Michael also received a message. Master, Calypso asked me to tell you, the sword that just cut you is his, scattered in Arcadia, suitable for selecting an inheritor. Besides this sword granting a special class, it also came with a skill inheritance necklace. As the player grows stronger, more inheritance skills in the necklace unlock. But for some reason now, he can't sense the necklace's aura. That's why he wants to speak with you directly. Only then did Jae-young understand why Cassius's skill was so similar to the celestial thrones. Jae-young helplessly could only help ask Cassius first, by the way, you got that sword from a quest, right? Cassius immediately became alert. How did you guess that? I got this sword as a reward from a strange wanderer. Any problem with that? A pop-up showed Calypso has entered an excited state. Quickly ask where my necklace is. So besides the sword, does Cassius also have a necklace? Cassius was stunned. How does Dex know everything so clearly? So she explained, that necklace was marked as unidentified equipment. I asked around and found out that to identify it, I'd have to pay for an identification scroll. I saw this necklace was plain and ordinary, so there was no need to pay for identification. In the end, I bundled it with other junk and sold it off, even made 15 copper coins. Calypso went mad with rage, could only frantically send pop-ups to Jae-young. But pop-ups couldn't soothe Calypso's heart. At this moment, the celestial throne actually took the initiative, volunteering to consume his own plausibility, hoping he could fully descend into Jae-young's body. Jae-young had no problem with it, but Michael, is such plausibility really possible? After thinking it over, Michael still agreed to Calypso's request. After all, the master-disciple relationship can also serve as grounds for intervention. Then, in my name as Archangel Michael, I allow Master of all weapons Calypso to temporarily intervene. The next instant, Jae-young's body was pierced by massive divine sword energy. Could this be what true dissension really means? Cassius involuntarily shivered. A pop-up showed Calypso full descent ascension successful. Body control temporarily transferred. Jae-young switched to spectator view. At this moment, Jae-young said with murderous intent, "I heard you bundled that necklace and sold it? Your master's painstaking efforts. Yet you were so short-sighted, you bastard." In a flash, Jae-young's body was dyed in brilliant golden divine power. Dozens of divine weapons surrounded him. That aura of supreme dominance over heaven and earth made Cassius's soul tremble, her body completely unable to move. At this moment, Jae-young was, in a sense, a descended deity. With a raise of his hand, he violently smashed the majestic greatsword down at Cassius. Because of the bamboo spear battle, although Cassius could only fall into the most severe near death, exhaustion, fatal wound, and other states, her body had to endure the pain of being torn apart. This strike contained ultimate sword intent. At this moment, a pop-up showed lost name old sword had wavering emotions. Could it be that Jae-young's sword momentum attracted it? Calypso was furious. "You ungrateful thing, looks like you really didn't know. Your skill is called quick selection. Do you know that quick selection wasn't simply created for all weapon proficiency? It contains my earnest hope for mastering all weapons in existence. With my blood and sweat, mastering the power of weapons. When cultivated to its peak, the skill will evolve into king of 10,000 weapons." Cassius looked bewildered. Could what Jae-young said really not be made up? And the moment you threw away the necklace, you lost the teachings I left for you. Originally, you should have received the pinnacle power I left for you, but you just had to. Cassius choked up for a long while before asking, "Dex, may I ask who you really are? Why can you make my sword cry out? And why do you know everything about me?" And the originally furious Calypso, upon seeing the sword, his eyes became tender as water. "Long time no see, my partner." And Cassius discovered for the first time that her own sword possessed rich emotions, so it buzzed and resonated, as if responding to 1,000 years of longing. "But partner, at least we met a benefactor, allowing me to borrow another's body to see you again." Calypso spoke with a gentle smile. "Though your current wielder is slow and foolish, at least her heart is upright, and I don't have time to help you find another one." Cassius was stunned speechless. This guy is actually talking to my sword. At this moment, the divine power belonging to Calypso on Jae-young's body was gradually fading. "My old friend, please take good care of this foolish inheritor before you." At this time, a pop-up showed lost name old sword decided to understand the current situation. So the energy hidden in the old sword finally erupted. It seemed to be crying out at finding its home. A pop-up showed old sword successfully recognized its master and recovered its true name. Hidden equipment abilities unlocked. The originally common grade old sword transformed into rare grade after unsealing, and the quest find the lost necklace opened accordingly. The moment it recognized its master, Cassius could clearly sense the old sword's emotions. Only now did she understand what true unity of person and sword meant, and how foolish she was for selling the necklace. Calypso smiled gently. "My ungrateful disciple, don't let me down again." Pop-up warning. Insufficient plausibility quota. Calypso's full descent has been released. Jae-young regained control of his body. Jae-young felt a flash of understanding. So this is the true power of the celestial throne. Cassius finally understood that Jae-young, who had just been possessed by a god, was her master. The next second she collapsed on the ground. Jae-young was somewhat surprised. No wonder she didn't fall despite such intense negative status earlier. She was just forcing herself to hold on. This one's really a tough character, because it was the bamboo spear battle. Cassius's character didn't die, but couldn't escape Jae-young's relentless roasting. The sword and necklace were rewards that came together. There must be a hidden quest. This has become gaming convention. Did you only play Icarus for those 10 years? Such a relic. But Cassius asked doubtfully, "Dex, what exactly is your class? That wasn't you fighting me just now." Jae-young had to bluff with the possession hidden class. Then he pointed at the bamboo spear in his hand. "We still haven't determined a victor between us." Cassius breathed a sigh of relief. "Dex, you're stating the obvious. I need at least 3 minutes to escape near-death status. Without a doubt, I'll be tortured to death by the poison fog coming in first. So Dex, this round is your complete victory." Jae-young felt it was a pity. "If only I could have a serious duel with you again." The pain made Cassius laugh bitterly. "Next time we meet, I'll definitely be the last one standing victorious." Jae-young gripped the bamboo spear tightly. "You're such a competitive woman. Then let's meet next time." With that, Jae-young decisively eliminated Cassius with the bamboo spear. A pop-up showed bamboo spear battle victor has been decided. Congratulations to player Dex for achieving final victory, because the main battles of the bamboo spear battle were live-streamed. Countless championship candidates made their mark on camera, like Starlight Witch Stella, who Jae-young had one-shot killed earlier, like when Jae-young used 1 second -4 breaks operation, taking only 3 seconds to make the just-formed bamboo spear reform group disband on the spot, and the bamboo spear battle's strongest championship candidate Cassius still lost at his hands. Without a doubt, the ID Dex was the absolute MVP. In the real world, Jae-young's Dex ID was equally legendary. The legend of a god descending to earth and defeating 5 opponents with a single blow is now within reach. This time Jae-young again won with the ID Dex, instantly igniting a wave of worship on the game forums. The witch Black Flame Dragon, who was defeated by Jae-young before finally understood why she had lost so completely. Good thing I didn't participate in the bamboo spear battle this time. However, what kind of championship reward would Jae-young receive? Was what everyone was anticipating. The next second, the NPC referee tossed out a mysterious treasure chest. Inside are all the equipment held by users you've eliminated. Jae-young can copy 1 item from inside as a reward. When Jae-young opened it, rows of highly sought-after rare-grade equipment were available for selection. The NPC thought Jae-young would be shocked, but after searching for a while, Jae-young showed no satisfaction. What is all this junk equipment? After all, as long as he had enough credibility points, he could buy even mythic-grade equipment from Little Satan and Michael. But when Jae-young saw this piece of equipment, his pupils suddenly constricted. He began repeatedly confirming with the NPC, "I can really choose any equipment from the eliminated user's possessions, right? Anyone is fine?" The NPC curiously leaned in to look. Even she was shocked after seeing it. The NPC stammered for a long time, unable to speak, but Jae-young argued eloquently, "This is indeed equipment held by an eliminated user." "Great, NPC Ghost, choosing this should be fine, right? You just promised." At this moment, the NPC's brain was about to burn out. The live stream of equipment selection had its audio cut off due to privacy concerns, but everyone could see the NPC's expression change. As people wondered what Jae-young had chosen, the NPC finally relented limited. According to the rules, this one-hit kill bamboo spear is indeed a player-equipped item, even though the bamboo spear can completely ignore all magic and physical resistance, even though hitting a vital point with the bamboo spear means instant death for enemies. It's the only equipment Jae-young can actually appreciate, or rather, it's the only god-tier equipment the Troublemaker class desperately craves but can never reach. And at this very moment, at Arcadia headquarters, Jae-young's choice triggered a board-level meeting, because the bamboo spear's one-hit kill ability can target any creature in Arcadia, except for bosses it can even kill NPCs. At this point, President Mion Lee decided to activate permission intervention. She immediately logged into Arcadia with level 2 clearance, but when she submitted the parameter adjustment proposal for the bamboo spear weapon, the system rejected the modification. Mion Lee was completely baffled. "Alice, give me an explanation." A pop-up appeared due to unreasonable job-specific patch modifications targeting the user reaching the limit. Hearing this, Myung-han's body trembled. The previous poison mist damage maximization patch was specifically targeting that sneaky Jae-young, and he issued it using his level 3 clearance. After seeing the evidence, Mion Lee let out an eerie laugh. "Department head Myung-han, I need an explanation from you." At this moment, Jae-young in the game was fondling the one-hit kill bamboo spear. A slight smirk crossed his lips as he wondered, "What should I do with this?" In Arcadia, just as Jae-young was thinking about how to cause chaos with the bamboo spear, a game pop-up appeared. "Administrator requests to summon player. Do you accept?" A glint of cunning flashed in Jae-young's eyes. "Looks like the officials have come up with a strategy. I'm curious what kind of offer they'll make to trade with me." Pop-up, "You have been teleported to a special space. Skills cannot be used here." The beautiful elf player before him was the official representative for the Korean server. "I'm sorry, Dex, but Jae-young wasn't interested in empty words. Please get straight to the point." The girl's voice carried a charming quality. "Dex, we're here about the bamboo spear. The existence of this spear poses a comprehensive threat to Arcadia. Of course, you obtained the bamboo spear through legitimate means, so we need your consent. For this, our official Korean server department proposes 3 options. The first option is to limit the number of uses for the bamboo spear. The second is to limit the applicable targets for the bamboo spear. The third is to reclaim the bamboo spear and replace it with epic tier equipment as compensation." Of course, Mion Lee knew very well that negotiations require leverage, and it must be leverage that satisfies Jae-young. She clicked send. "This is appropriate compensation from the company. Take a look and decide which option to choose." When Jae-young saw the compensation, his eyes lit up. Mion Lee was taking a gamble. She didn't know if Jae-young could actually use the leverage she offered, as this kind of leverage is useless for ordinary players. Just then, Mion Lee leaned close to Jae-young intimately. "If you're willing to accept the terms this time, our operations team promises we'll never add improper patches targeting certain users in the future. And this condition is my personal trump card to convince you." Jae-young immediately understood. "If you're acting personally, what authority do you have to represent the company?" Mion Lee's gaze was intense. "I will stake the name of Arcadia's Korean server director on my promise to you. Jae-young, the #1 player across countless games, couldn't possibly not know about Arcadia's Korean server director. Could you really be President Mion Lee, who created legends at such a young age, for someone of your stature to meet with me personally?" Mion Lee's glance back left everyone unable to look away. "Thank you, Dex. Please take care of me from now on." Pop-up, agreement reached. Bamboo spear equipment changed to single-use item. You have received 1 million plausibility points as a reward. You are granted permanent exemption from malicious patches. But what really made Jae-young's heart race was the secret note the goddess Mion Lee gave him. It clearly had Mion Lee's office phone number written on it. However, what Jae-young didn't know was a team in the shadows had already set their sights on him, specifically on his ID Dex. After the bamboo spear battle, Jae-young's ID became the center of attention without question. Wherever players gathered, they would talk about Jae-young's gaming career. Whenever a black-robed character appeared, it would definitely attract players' attention. He was afraid of this before, which is why he acted anonymously. Damn, official livestream ruined all my efforts. The next instant, Jae-young consumed 1,400 plausibility points, activating Divine Descent to summon Kapalas, just to escape this place of public opinion as quickly as possible. Satan was quite surprised by Jae-young's generosity. "Master, what fear have you sensed? That you'd activate Divine Descent to help you escape?" Being questioned by the divine and demonic duo, Jae-young felt a headache. "Do you know what Sasang fans are?" The scene cuts to where Jae-young had just appeared. A mighty, imposing man arrived following the scent. The mage made passing players raise their heads just to confirm their character appearances, then said with a creepy smile, "Everyone show your faces or there will be bloodshed." Obviously, they were the obsessive fans who had been chasing Jae-young for years. The reason their guild is called Dextish is because Dex likes to wear red underwear. Therefore, among the gathered guild members, 11 out of 10 men and women are Jae-young's Sasang fans. Life isn't easy. Jae-young sighed. Satan finally understood. "Master, you have believers, but are afraid of being exposed." Actually, Satan has a lot of experience with this. After I became the Demon King, a war for succession broke out. In the end, I took them all out by myself. But this kind of vicious challenge is endless, so I spent a long time making a mask. Pop-up, mythic tier equipment deceiver's mask. This mask can mimic anyone's face based on your own thoughts, and no one can peek at the true face under the mask. Jae-young was shocked. "Support equipment like this can be mythic tier?" Satan immediately named his price. "If Master needs it, I can lend it to you." Jae-young saw right through Satan's intentions. "So how much are you going to charge for plausibility this time?" 100,000 credibility points and I can lend it to you until you're buried." To be honest, Jae-young was tempted. Using physical means to shake off stalkers is more efficient than any other method. Pop-up, you have equipped the mythic tier deceiver's mask, and the false identity has completely concealed your identity. Meanwhile, the Dextish guild was quite disappointed they couldn't find Jae-young. So the guild leader ordered, anyone who provides a screenshot of Dex's appearance gets 10 coins per image. The female mage was confident. This Dex guy definitely can't escape our grasp. Just then, a white-haired, black-robed man walked into the bustling market. "Satan, this mask is really useful. Not a single person recognized me." But at this moment, Jae-young was drawn to the news from the central continent. Recently, Arcadia has been expanding its weapons market. A special piece of equipment Tear of Elfie sold at auction for 1 billion. So does that mean this mythic tier deceiver deceiver's mask on my face would be worth 100 billion at auction? The next second, Jae-young walked right up to the Dextish guild leader. The guild leader's eyes narrowed as he looked him over. Too bad. This guy doesn't look like Dex. But why did I mistake him for Dex for a moment? Actually, Jae-young was deliberately testing. Satan, this mask really is excellent. Jae-young's only complaint about the mask is that the face it creates isn't as handsome as his own. Such a shame. Satan was dumbfounded. Master, don't you ever read equipment descriptions? You can choose who to disguise as yourself, and anyone you've ever seen, as long as you want, can become your disguised target. After confirming there were no limitations on transformation, Jae-young's lips curled up at this moment, as if his desire to cause chaos couldn't be contained. Using this mask to complete my newly updated quest would be perfect. New quest: plunge the world into great chaos. Therefore, you need to continuously recruit helpers who appear with specific markers. Side quest: recruit Cassius. And the second recruitment target. The quest only told Jae-young the person is at the mines. Speaking of Cassius, she's definitely searching all over the map for merchants, looking for a lost necklace. As for the mines, I wonder how much NPC Baron Mikhail has exploited players to work as mining slaves for him by now. A mine controlled by one NPC, but all the slaves mining inside are game players. Other kids can play games during holidays, but he has to spend holidays being a slave in the game. The NPC lord is thus making a fortune, yet still considering how to continue making players work like oxen and horses. The reason NPCs get tricked into mining is because of the exploitation plan the protagonist Jae-young provided initially, and his reward was unconditional claim to 10% of the mine's profits. However, Jae-young's purpose for returning here wasn't to collect payment from the NPC lord, but for slave number 1 at the Hagen Mountain mine. He's the fastest mining slave here, yet he's the player most recognized by the ancestor blacksmith in Destiny, and he is also the target indicated in Jae-young's quest to find helpers. Goblin supervisor, bring slave number 1 over here. The slave boy heard the supervisor call him to rest, but immediately lowered his head, saying he completed his work quota. A wicked smile appeared at the corner of Jae-young's mouth. Kid, let's have a chat. Seeing the boy's shocked expression, Jae-young said bluntly, I'm the one who's come to grant you freedom. After the boy's lengthy explanation, it turned out he was initially blinded by the desire to get rich overnight and accidentally signed a contract of servitude given by an NPC, causing him to come into the game every day to work as a slave. This little guy's really honest. But just then, the angel Michael suddenly noticed something unusual about the mining slave boy. He actually has the scent of fire on him. Only someone with absolute affinity for fire attributes would emit this kind of scent. Perhaps this little guy has an innate talent for being a blacksmith. Jae-young looked down at him condescendingly. Kid, if I give you freedom, would you be willing to go through fire and water for me? The boy answered without a moment's hesitation. I say, kid, aren't you going to listen to the conditions first? The boy knelt and kowtowed 3 times directly to Jae-young. As long as you rescue me from this hell, I'm willing to dedicate my life to you. The next second, the contract chains binding his character shattered. Pop-up ID, I'm a registered as helper. But when Jae-young opened the boy's stats, his pupils suddenly contracted. This kid is actually Arcadia's first beta tester. Kid, who exactly are you? The boy's body trembled with shock. This is an account a very smart friend gave me. Anyway, it's my secret. Even you, big brother, can't know. Jae-young breathed a sigh of relief. As long as you're not some official's grandson or son, that's fine. Now let's get to the point. I need to give you a performance test. The test Jae-young mentioned was monster hunting. This guy's attacks were completely chaotic. As expected, his combat ability is terrible, and his production skills are also mediocre. There's no way someone playing since beta should be this bad. Could it be some kind of punishment from the hidden class? At this time, Michael took the initiative to appear. Master, you know that for a blacksmith, strength and talent are both indispensable, but they also need to be able to pour their soul into what they forge. However, I think these aren't the most important qualities for a blacksmith. Rather, facing scorching flames, while still standing there swinging a heavy hammer, that unwavering tenacity, then swinging the heavy hammer hundreds and thousands of times without caring about willpower and conviction. Only then can you forge truly outstanding equipment. This boy can persist mining in such a harsh environment. I think his willpower is more outstanding than anyone's. But what puzzled Jae-young was why Michael suddenly rated a player so highly. Michael wanted to speak but hesitated, because this matter involves information that's too significant. I can't say. Jae-young understood. Michael, if I have enough credibility points to bear the karma for you, then you can speak boldly, right? So pop up. You have paid 150,000 plausibility points. Secrets once hidden now surface for you alone. It turns out in an age of mythology even more distant than the first holy to demonic war, this era had countless gods, each with their own desires, possessing divinity and godhood. God of war, god of justice, god of time, and so on. At that time, each with their own desires, all had their own followers. But because of a certain organization, that era was completely forgotten by humanity, without a trace to be found. Jae-young understood. That means the Saint Inte order symbolizing justice in Arcadia destroyed all orders except those who believed in heaven. In summary, those gods who lost their followers eventually became false gods whose names no one even remembers, which is how heaven gained the glory of being worshipped by all people. So my subordinate being watched by the most ancient flame refers to the father of blacksmiths, also the spear symbolizing heaven's power to burn any demon, the creator of Muspelheim, the divine blacksmith of the mythological age Vulcanus. This boy's watcher is him. Jae-young finally understood why the quest wants me to take this kid under my wing, so it's to train him to become a legendary divine blacksmith. And Arcadia's strongest blacksmith race is the dwarves. I just don't know where they live. You know, Arcadia hasn't opened the dwarf race yet. The demon king Satan volunteered. My subordinates once saw them underground, but it's a bit far from Hagen Mountain, in a desert underground. After Jae-young thought hard, could Satan be talking about the Lumel Great Desert, one of the 5 forbidden zones? I heard adventurers who go in never come out alive. But Jae-young still took his subordinate and resolutely walked into the desert. However, the boy was moved to tears by the set of trash equipment Jae-young gave him. He swore in his heart, "Big brother, I'm willing to follow you for life." Jae-young felt a bit guilty after all. This guy being tricked into becoming a mining slave was his doing. Don't mention it. Consider it your severance pay from the mine. But what Jae-young didn't know was, wanting to cross an endless desert, overcoming countless dangers to find the dwarf race, would be an almost impossible task. And what method would he think of to improve search efficiency? The two walked in the desert for 3 days and 3 nights. The subordinate was sunburned to a crisp, but Jae-young felt quite cool, just because he consumed credibility points to activate Divine Descent, summoning the Heaven Phantom Ice Queen. And the Queen's passive skill Frozen Heart is equivalent to having an air conditioner inside the host's body. Of course, the desert occasionally has a few desert scorpions pop out, but even though they're level 160 Lord monsters, after Jae-young chanted some incantations, he could also complete Frozen Scorpion King with a raise of his hand, finally finished off by the subordinate lacking experience points. But the subordinate treated monster hunting like mining, easily finding the weak point, effortlessly smashing the ice block into fragments. But because he leached too much, his level increased. His stamina also recovered due to leveling up, yet he gained the lazy moocher who gets carried title. And the subordinate's constant leeching along the way elevated him from the original level 24 all the way up to level 72 in one go. But wandering around the desert like headless chickens isn't a solution, because to keep the air conditioning running in the desert, the Divine Descent state must be maintained continuously. But Satan thought of a new plan. Since you're looking for dwarves, then use Demonic Descent. Find a dwarf spirit to guide you. Isn't this better than Angelic Descent? So Demonic Descent activated, summoning Skullcrusher Dwarf Tane. Terrifying demonic power instantly filled Jae-young's limbs. The dwarf spirit temporarily revived using Jae-young's body. Tane felt the desert heat, recalling the glory of controlling hellfire for forging in days past. Jae-young was bewildered by becoming talkative due to Divine Descent. Senior, quickly check which direction the dwarf kingdom is in. But Tane was shocked after sensing something. He could sense what he once controlled. The hellfire was right under Jae-young's feet. Tane quickly pressed against the ground to listen to the sounds. That's right, I'm certain there's dwarf forged sand below. But at this moment Jae-young had his subordinate retreat 100 meters back. The next instant, a forging hammer thicker than a person appeared in Jae-young's palm. It was Tane's weapon from when he was alive. But the subordinate couldn't understand why Jae-young suddenly changed into a hammer. Jae-young revealed a wicked smile. I'm going to smash through the desert, of course. The second the hammer hit the ground, fine cracks continuously extended. You know this hammer has the shatter effect. As the cracks spread, a pit 20 meters in diameter suddenly collapsed. Jae-young jumped into the abyss with his subordinate. After falling 1,000 meters, they finally saw a glimmer of light. Jae-young was also surprised the dwarf kingdom was this deep. At the same time, Tane felt that being able to see this city again fulfilled a past regret. After Jae-young saw the dwarves' living environment clearly, he understood why this place produces talented blacksmiths. Using lava as fuel for forging, perhaps only dwarves have such unique resources. Jae-young pop-up, discovered unknown area. First to discover forged sand, stamina and strength increased by 10 points. Gained attribute craftsmanship, new quest encounter with the dwarf race when friendly relations are formed. They will share forged sand with humanity. When hostile relations form, forged sand will be closed off to humanity, because from the moment Jae-young appeared, every dwarf looked at him with hostility. You know dwarves despise other races quite severely, but their equipment manufacturing skills are absolutely first-rate. Looking at their underground city's living environment, you know these guys are definitely set in their ways. Otherwise, they wouldn't immediately treat Jae-young and his companion as invaders, facing the dwarves charging at them with iron hammers. Jae-young had a way to subdue them. That is to summon Dwarf Tane's crushing giant hammer. The moment the hammer appeared, the charging dwarves came to an abrupt halt. A contemptuous smile appeared at the corner of Jae-young's mouth. At this moment, he maximized Tane's Divine Descent energy. I am Tane. How have you fared since my death? This tone must be Lord Tane without a doubt. All the blacksmiths dropped their forging hammers and pressed their left hands firmly against their right chests. This is the highest honor of respect in dwarf culture. Jae-young followed suit and pressed his hand against his chest. Pop up, form trusting relationship with dwarves. Forged sand is now open to you. A dwarf child asked Jae-young, is Lord Tane watching over us from heaven? Satan saw Jae-young cast a questioning glance and explained, this guy likes to use his hammer to smash opponents' skulls. Ask Michael if heaven would accept him. Tane quietly asked Jae-young not to reveal where he is, but children's expectations must be met. So Jae-young told a white lie. Lord Tane is living very happily in heaven. The boy's mood suddenly changed. Then I want to join the Hammer Assault Squad too, like him, smashing those damn angels' skulls with fearless courage. Jae-young's worldview shattered on the spot. Maybe you'll meet in hell. Next, the child's father led Jae-young and his companion to tour the dwarf city. Blacksmith shops are everywhere here. However, almost all the dwarves in the city are craftsman-level blacksmith engineers and architects. This is my father's shop, also one of the top 3 master smithies in forged sand. My father is Byron, one of the blacksmith masters in the dwarf city. Jae-young had his subordinate bow to become an apprentice, but Master Byron pointed to a blacksmith apprentice nearby. Let's have you two compete. Under the cooking of scorching flames, the young apprentice completed weapon forging first, a magic tier crude short sword. Though not high grade, the craftsmanship is excellent. The subordinate who completed forging right after created the trashiest grade crude short sword. It just looks like a weapon. Byron responded to Jae-young. Whether the young man can graduate depends on his fortune. Finding a master to teach him is already precious, so I'm counting on you, Senior Byron. Subordinate, it's time for us to part ways temporarily. Seeing the subordinate's low spirits and reluctance, Jae-young asked him to give him his hammer. As expected, it's the most basic forging hammer. By the way, is this the hammer you've been using to mine and craft equipment? Jae-young began experimentally injecting plausibility into the hammer. The next second, a pop-up appeared. Strengthening equipment requires 350,000 plausibility points. Are you kidding me? Strengthening a broken hammer shouldn't need this much. Subordinate, you better treat your big brother well for life. Skill plausibility bestowal activated. In an instant, golden light soared from the hammer's center. At this moment, the subordinate heard a deep voice. Boy, you still have many shortcomings. You can't let my name shine because of you yet. You can only make up for your inadequacies through endless effort, then overcome all hardships like steel. Become a divine blacksmith that overturns the continent, and finally earn recognition from this most ancient flame. Finally, let me give you a gift, little one. In the name of God of blacksmiths Vulcanus, I grant you fortune. At this moment, the ordinary forging hammer visibly completed a mythic tier transformation to become Vulcanus's hammer. Properties, infinite durability, and unafraid of any flames. The key is that when equipped, character proficiency for any profession doubles. Only those recognized by Vulcanus can equip it. After Jae-young helped his subordinate strengthen into Vulcanus's hammer, he instructed him to practice diligently and work hard to improve his blacksmithing skills. Hope you won't let this mythic tier forging hammer down. The subordinate vowed that if he becomes the strongest blacksmith, he will definitely repay Jae-young's kindness in discovering him. At this time, Jae-young's pop-up appeared. Gained complete trust from target. Helper system unlocked. In the future, you can gain plausibility created by helpers. Accumulated so far, Jae-young has gained 3 helpers. Future dueling mage Galena. Future all weapons master Cassius. Future master blacksmith. Jae-young doesn't know yet that in the future, these 3 will emerge in Arcadia with the name of extremely evil players. But for now, Jae-young has something he needs to confirm. That is, what level can the disguise effect of the mythic tier Deceiver's mask actually achieve? It turns out that because of Arcadia's explosive popularity, related live streams have become diverse. The hottest channels are naturally hunting in Arcadia. However, what this female streamer is challenging today is teaming up with players over level 100 to raid the slime territory. And for streaming effect, she urgently needs to find a newbie to join the team. This way, she can deliberately create the virtue of rescuing low-level users. However, the disguised Jae-young suddenly appeared. The female streamer hurriedly walked toward him and asked in a sweet voice, "Big brother, wanna catch slimes together? I'm a level 100 plus mage. He's a level 134 ranked user." Jae-young thought for a moment, then revealed a big white smile. "No problem, let's team up together." Then thought to himself, "An influencer? Perfect. I have a plan I want to try." The divine and demonic duo were puzzled. "Master, why are you wasting time here? And these two definitely invited you for their own benefit." Jae-young first wanted to confirm the Deceiver's mask effect. Second, he had his own plans, and the female mage to get him to team up asked Jae-young for his account ID. But Jae-young said, "My nickname is I love chocolate cake." The girl clicked search and could actually send a team invitation to this ID. Under the mask, Jae-young revealed a wicked smile. "Looks like this mask can even disguise the ID. If I can use this mask well in the future, causing chaos will be virtually risk-free." Soon the 3 arrived at slime territory, but each of the 3 had ulterior motives. The warrior was thinking about how to tank monsters. The streamer was thinking about how to use this battle to increase her value. Jae-young was thinking, why are these little slime guys still as cute as before? As the battle began, the live stream chat became lively. The female streamer kept chanting magic to resist the slimes. The warrior protected the 2 behind him. Jae-young slacked off at the back of the team, but the number of slimes in front suddenly surged. Unable to hold back the slimes, they rushed toward Jae-young, seizing the opportunity to boost her image. The female streamer immediately rushed in front of Jae-young and activated protective magic. The slime died as a result, but the female streamer entered critical health. The warrior still blocked the front of the team because of the rare shield's skill, instantly knocked back and stunned the slimes. The chat atmosphere immediately achieved the effect the female streamer wanted, but as long as it benefits her image, a few more attacks like this would be fine. But Jae-young was inspired by this. If I did live streaming, it might not be bad. Take this opportunity to gain some followers. Just then, this wave of slimes was taken out by the warrior and female streamer. Seeing the female mage still streaming, Jae-young immediately jumped into the frame and asked, "Why don't we challenge higher tier monsters, like the orc settlement or something?" And Jae-young's bold claims were immediately criticized harshly by viewers. And this is exactly the effect Jae-young wanted. "Since you two don't dare to go, I'll go solo it myself." Pop up. Chocolate Cake left the party. Finally, he said to the camera, "Oh, if anyone wants to watch me solo the orc settlement, come to my live stream. My channel is called Destroyers Daily." The moment these words came out, the live stream exploded. Not because Jae-young is famous, but because Destroyers Daily. This account is just too mysterious. 2 videos and 800,000 followers. Someone quickly searched. The account owner is actually live streaming right now. The female streamer stared at her live stream, suddenly speechless, because the number of viewers in the live stream dropped from the original 5,000. At a visible speed, instantly plummeted to 0. Without exception, all viewers were stolen by Jae-young. And Jae-young just started streaming and was immediately questioned, "How can level 52 raid the orc settlement?" But Jae-young said, "Friends will come help me." The next second, Jae-young equipped the slime savior title and called out to the slime queen, "Friends, come over here." The next second, the slime queen led her people rushing toward Jae-young and hugged Jae-young tightly in her embrace. The livestream viewers were stunned. Just a level 52 newbie can actually stand on the slime queen's shoulder. "All right, friends, we're now heading to the orc settlement." The chat started wondering, Chocolate Cake Lover is clearly a warrior. How can he control the slime army? But the fact is just that. All slimes in the territory began a group attack on the orcs. Due to numerical advantage, most orc minions were killed by slimes. At this moment, the level 120 orc legion commander emerged. Though the slime queen is larger in size, she's 20 levels below it. Facing the slime queen's offensive, the small-statured orc legion commander remained fearless. Activated skill savage charge. The queen couldn't block it and was knocked back 100 meters, but Jae-young revealed a wicked smile, immediately consumed 3,000 plausibility points to strengthen the slime queen. Pop up. For 5 minutes, all of slime queen's attributes increased by 30%. The next second, the slime's corrosive mucus covered straight toward the orc legion commander. It wasn't that he couldn't dodge the corrosive mucus in time, but at this moment, the slime queen's mucus range suddenly exploded. Pop up. Orc legion commander has been defeated. While the comments were all praising it, Jae-young asked the livestream viewers for some follows, hoping to bring everyone a visual feast next time too, because the slime queen's corrosive liquid covered the entire orc territory. Currently, only 1% of the orc forces remain, while the slime population in this territory reached 99%. Pop up. The slime race has occupied the orc settlement. Territory is being reconstructed, forming an environment suitable for slime habitation. The slime queen transformed into human form and hugged Jae-young tightly, seemingly thanking Jae-young for adding a new home for her. A notification popped up saying that due to the slime race revival, the slime level would be adjusted, and their stats would massively increase. Among the tribe, level 120 slime guards appeared. Jae-young was relieved. It seemed like very few people could capture slimes now. But the evolution wasn't over yet. The original level 100 slime queen evolved evolved into an entirely new entity. A level 200 slime monarch was born, and the word terrifying flooded the screen once again. Although the slime queen's body size became smaller, her new skill intimidation could cover entire 3-kilometer range. Even level 100 players would be intimidated, causing their energy to drop by 30% and movement speed to decrease by 50%. Jae Young's original title, Savior of Slimes, was upgraded thanks to the slime monarch's gratitude. The Saint of Slimes, and all slimes would now unconditionally follow Jae Young's commands. After that day, news spread on the official forums. The Korean server officials even held an emergency meeting, but since Jae Young had legitimately used the game mechanics, they couldn't impose any sanctions. A few curious top-ranked players came to the second slime territory, only to be completely wiped out by the slime army. Actually, even with level 120 slimes being physically stronger, they wouldn't be too scary. But what was terrifying was that there were a total of 120,000 such slimes. The once weakest slimes now had the ability to devour the entire Arcadia continent. All game users started paying attention to slimes, which naturally meant paying attention to their master who could control them, and Destroyers Daily went from 800,000 subscribers to 36 million overnight. Jae Young never expected his wild move would bring him such massive fortune. Many companies rushed to send him gaming business invitations. Thinking about this, Jae Young sighed that the world had really changed. It seemed he'd have to keep streaming, and anyway, with the mask on, no one would know his real identity. So Jae Young dialed the contact number for E+ from the email. The company learned that the contact was Destroyers Daily and immediately invited Jae Young to come. After a quick disguise, Jae Young met with Cho Seo-wook, the representative of I+ Entertainment Agency. After their negotiation, Jae Young reached an agreement with the company. Learning from the staff that it was about Dwarven City content, Cho Seo-wook's eyes widened in shock. As soon as the new video Underground Secrets was uploaded to the channel, it sparked a wave of comments. The leaked information about the dwarves generated huge reactions, with 10,538 comments in less than a minute. Jae Young was extremely satisfied and sent over another video. Cho Seo-wook couldn't care about anything else, and personally edited the footage. When he saw the mythical item Volcanus' hammer, Cho Seo-wook's jaw dropped so far you could fit 2 eggs in his mouth. As usual, this video brought massive changes as soon as it was uploaded. Players set off on their journeys to the Lumel Great Desert. Among them were many guild actions organized by companies, all with one goal: to plunder the wealth of the Dwarven City. In response, the Korean server officials held another emergency meeting. Meanwhile, Jae Young was leisurely lying on the grass, not caring at all what impact the video's spread would have. Michael understood very well that Dex was just trying to divert public attention. His next destination would be another mysterious place, the Elven Habitat. She sighed. That place had remnants of the Holy Demon War. A notification popped up saying that exposure of dwarf-related information had reached 42%. All existing quests were sealed. New quest: mediate the conflict between dwarves and elves. Success condition: reach an agreement and establish trade. Failure condition: war breaks out between the two races. After seeing the new quest, Jae Young couldn't help but think deeply. Elves shouldn't be hostile to humans, right? At that moment, Satan requested to return to the demon realm. Turns out his subordinates had betrayed him, which made him furious. A teleportation circle immediately formed. I'll be right back. Won't take long. Jae Young thought Satan was rushing because his plausibility had only accumulated to over 300,000. Who knew Michael would sneer coldly? Use a little trick and the demons fall for it. A bunch of idiots. Jae Young broke out in a cold sweat. Little Mike, so you're saying you instigated the rebellion? Michael nodded with a smile. Jae Young's whole body trembled. Little Mike, what exactly are you trying to do? I want justice. Your next location is the hidden elven tribe. There lies buried the Lord of Chaos, something Satan and his demons treasure as a gem. When you get there, destroy it. Hearing this, Jae Young looked incredulous. It turned out that in the sanctuary within Hagen Mountain, the place where the artifact that made a contract with Michael was buried had turned into ruins. So Michael wanted revenge for this sanctuary that belonged to heaven. Jae Young sighed and said he understood. Little Mike smiled and said, finding the elves is most important for completing the quest. It won't interfere with Dex's actions. The Amir Great Forest, one of the 5 forbidden zones. Jae Young ventured into it alone, but finding elves in such a forest would be extremely difficult. Because Michael said neither heaven nor the demon realm had elven souls. They go to the elven realm after death. Jae Young was completely lost. Couldn't he use the method for finding dwarves, summoning an elven soul to guide him? Michael said with delight, although heaven has no elven souls, there's someone close to them. So angel summoning activated. Summon divine bow Amelia. As soon as Amelia appeared, she pointed forward. After crossing this ancient forest, you'll reach the elven village. Be careful, there are fierce ancient wood elves inside. As soon as she finished speaking, an ancient wood elf appeared. This guy has sharp ears. The level 140 ancient wood elf saw a human appear and attacked without question. Just as the attack was about to smash onto Jae Young's head, Jae Young instantly vanished from his spot. At this moment, he was standing on the ancient wood elf's hand. These eyes are pretty nice. The ancient wood elf's eyes glowed with bright yellow light. Hearing Jae Young's provocation, it fell into rage. Jae Young wasn't panicking at all. Amelia released heart-piercing arrow attack. Skill notification, eyes that see through all activated. Grasp the enemy's weakness and attack. Can ignore the opponent's defense. The ancient wood elf's body took heavy damage. Amelia once again charged her divine bow with energy. Release storm. Boom! The terrifying power hit the ancient wood elf. Jae Young put his hand to his forehead. The damage is so intense, but the power is too hard to control. After eliminating the enemy, Jae Young continued on his journey, completely unaware that an elf was watching him. After a while, Amelia said to Jae Young, from here on, you can proceed alone. Ahead is elven territory. Monsters won't dare come close. If you meet any elves, can you do me a favor? There's an elf named Pell. Please confirm whether he's alive or dead. If he's still alive, make him suffer before killing him. Pell should have died at the hands of dwarves long ago, but I saved him at the risk of my life, and we promised to love each other forever. But that ungrateful bastard betrayed me and got involved with other elves and not just one. Saying this, Amelia covered her face and cried, that bastard not only stole my heart but trampled on my love. Notification. New quest, Vengeful Woman's Revenge. Kill the elf Pell or leave him near death to complete. Michael sighed. Cross-species romances never end well. Elves have long lifespans. They don't have the same concepts of love and marriage camouflage loyalty as humans. Then Michael said to Amelia, Pell is an elf. You can't judge him by human standards. Amelia lowered her hands. I'm sorry, my request was too much. Please send me back to heaven. The quest subject changed their mind. Vengeful woman's revenge has been cancelled. You consumed 8,632 plausibility points. Summoning released. Just as Jae-young was complaining about Amelia being blinded by emotion, a whistling sound came through the air. An arrow landed beside him. Jae-young looked around. From this commotion, it seemed he was surrounded by elves. Looks like elves, just like dwarves, don't like humans. Human, don't move. Elves revealed themselves one by one. Jae-young broke out in cold sweat. Elves don't look that great either. The scene shifted to a wooden bridge. Jae-young's hands were bound and his eyes blindfolded like a prisoner. They'd been walking for an hour. Originally, he'd planned to remember the elven base location, but the elves kept changing directions. This quest seemed difficult. Suddenly, Jae-young's vision brightened. His pupils dilated in shock at the sight before him. In front of him stood a towering tree. The elf approached and extended one hand, chanting some ancient spell. Instantly, light shone bright as day. Then a mysterious unknown region appeared. Jae-young was amazed. At the same time, a notification popped up. You have discovered an undiscovered region. Legendary achievement unlocked. Discovered the elven habitat, where the world tree sleeps. Intelligence increased by 10 points. Archery efficiency increased. Elven affinity added. Mythical achievement unlocked. Acquired title Witness of Myths. Maximum vitality permanently increased by 1,000 points. Nature affinity greatly increased. The world tree Yggdrasil is the life source supporting all of Arcadia, the symbol of nature and mother of elves. However, there was a black sword stuck in the world tree, which made Jae-young sweat a bit. Michael smiled and said, Didn't expect that, did you? So you'll have to destroy it. The elves were curious seeing a human appear. Jae-young was annoyed they were discussing human appearances. At that moment, the elven queen Melissa appeared. The elves were surprised the queen would come personally for a human. Melissa asked, How did you make that bow and arrow to fight monsters? The corners of Jae-young's mouth lifted in a smile. That was Amelia's bow and arrow. Hearing this, Melissa's whole body trembled. The surrounding elves couldn't believe it. After all, Amelia was dead. Melissa had the elves release Jae-young and prepared to take him to a quiet place to talk. Jae-young was confused why Melissa reacted so strongly, and her eyes held fear. Soon after, Jae-young and Melissa sat facing each other. Jae-young asked a question, what kind of person was Amelia to receive the honorary elf title? Melissa listened to Jae-young's words, supporting her chin in deep thought as if recalling unpleasant things. Amelia was really a lunatic. She would obsessively pursue any handsome elf she saw, and was extremely jealous of rivals, as if wanting to monopolize all elves. Once when drunk, she found Pell and threatened him, saying if he didn't marry her, she'd shoot him to death with an arrow. I waited 40 years, until she died, before I could finally be with Pell. Jae-young was stunned. The queen was also one of the elves who got involved with Pell. Melissa asked Jae-young why he came to find the elves. Jae-young took out a scroll. Melissa opened it and found it was a trade route agreement. Rubbing the scroll's material, Melissa found it very familiar. Seeing the dwarven signature at the bottom, her pupils dilated. Jae-young placed his hand on his chest. I am Dex, humanity's peace envoy. Just visited Forge Sand. The war between the two races from hundreds of years ago hasn't ended, and there's been no contact since. It's time to begin a new era. Melissa carefully examined the agreement's contents. This isn't a simple trade agreement, but a peace treaty between races. Melissa stared at Jae-young. What method did you use to make the dwarves compromise? Jae-young laughed heartily. This was a piece of cake for me. Melissa cleared her throat and rejected the proposal. Jae-young was shocked. It's too early to make a decision now. I'm sorry, we elves don't have the energy for such things. With that, Melissa slowly stood up. Please leave. Notification, peace envoy quest failed. Jae-young thought to himself, what should I do now? I don't want to just go back like this. Michael held up one finger. Listen to my suggestion. It might help. One day, the Holy Demon War stained all of Arcadia red with blood. In that war, it wasn't any race that saved countless dying lives, but the World Tree. The World Tree's skill domain declaration prevents all life forms within range from using attack skills, and combat power also rapidly decreases. The World Tree's domain became a refuge for the weak. They prayed this transcendent battle would end soon, but tragedy still occurred. The Demon Realm's artifact Death's Messenger made everything devoured by darkness. That terrible thing, for some reason, got stuck in the World Tree's branches. Since then, the elves have always guarded the World Tree, and its location has been strictly kept secret, so this trade that would bring risk to the World Tree couldn't possibly be agreed to. Jae-young therefore understood Melissa's reason for refusing, and why Michael wanted to destroy Death's Messenger. Your Majesty, could you come with me for a moment? Soon, the two arrived under the World Tree. Melissa didn't understand Jae-young's purpose in bringing her here. Mythical grade artifact, Eternal Finale. A gorgeous sword suddenly appeared before Jae-young. Michael smiled and said, artifacts should be fought with artifacts. The moment Jae-young reached out to grab the long sword, a notification popped up. Hidden quest conditions met. New quest. The World Tree tainted by evil. Eternal Finale burst forth with dazzling radiant light. Melissa stared at the sword in shock. Dex, you really aren't an ordinary person. Can you tell me why Eternal Finale is in your hands? Jae-young smiled. I have fate with heaven. As long as you agree to a peace treaty with the dwarves, I'll completely rescue the World Tree from that bottomless abyss. Jae-young activated his negotiation skill. Melissa was immediately moved and developed favorable feelings. If you can remove the source of evil, I swear by my name as queen to accept all your proposals. Michael's eyes gleamed. Dex, quickly destroy that broken sword. Jae-young put on the deceiver's mask. The live stream started. Jae-young held up two fingers with a smile. Today's stream content, saving the World Tree. Immediately the comments exploded. The term World Tree was so unfamiliar. Eternal Finale glowed, condensing its evil-destroying power. Jae-young lifted this mythical artifact sword. He smiled and said, one-hit victory. Can't waste plausibility. The moment Eternal Finale swung out to release its attack, Death's Messenger sensed the deadly threat, activated its self-protection mechanism, and generated a shield. Then it made its last resistance. Instantly, a terrifying attack came at Jae-young. Massive waves rippled wherever it passed. Eternal Finale pierced into the World Tree, one hand gripping the exposed blade. Jae-young exhaled. Didn't expect the item could also use skills. Death's Messenger released evil power, spreading outward, seeking a host to devour. A level 130 giant ogre from the Amir Great forest became the target. Death's messenger fled at high speed. The evil power exploded in the center of the Emir Great Forest. Boss monster Fallen Demon Sword Warrior was born. The elves guarding the World Tree were targeted by the monster. The elves saw this demon-like birth. Various attacks were released. The Fallen Demon Sword Warrior felt no pain. The elves' eyes were filled with shock. The Fallen Demon Sword Warrior struck casually, sending elves flying and turning them to ash. Stream viewers watching were very confused. Are they really playing the same game? Looking at the distant scene, Jae-young said he probably couldn't handle it either, suggesting they call little Satan to deal with it. Michael firmly waved her hand in refusal. She instantly understood that as long as she could activate Eternal Finale's power, she could solve the problem. So Michael whispered in Jae-young's ear, "Dex, can I borrow your body? Given the current situation, my personal descent would be the fastest way to handle this." Jae-young was surprised. "Your personal appearance would consume a lot of plausibility. It's more cost-effective to let little Satan come. After all, I don't have much plausibility left." Michael tilted her head. "Don't joke around. With your current plausibility, how could I descend? Forget personal appearance. Even summoning would be difficult. I'm very expensive, you know." Jae-young was embarrassed. He extended his left hand. "If that's the case, then do as you please." Notification: Archangel Michael descends upon the player. Switch to spectator view. Soon Michael descended in angel form. Michael held Eternal Finale. Eliminate the evil. The Fallen Demon Sword Warrior looked up at the sky, not moving at all. Eternal Finale released a terrifying sword strike that fell from above. Jae-young felt that Eternal Finale's true power was absurdly strong. Too outrageous. Are we using the same item? The Fallen Demon Sword Warrior let out a painful sound. Unwavering faith. Heaven's sacred justice. The anthem of supreme honor, and so on. A series of energies were activated. The ground beneath the Fallen Demon Sword Warrior was already devastated. Angel Michael hung in the sky. Jae-young was shocked. Even this level of attack is just the minimal descent? Death's messenger sensed the deadly threat and drained the remaining life force of the Emir Great Forest's giant ogre, then entered a defensive state. Michael snorted coldly. "Insolent! You dare resist? Let me see how long you can hold out." Saying that, she raised Eternal Finale and charged at Death's messenger. The collision of two mythical grade swords produced world-destroying power. Death's messenger withstood attack after attack, but Eternal Finale received unlimited sacred power from Michael. Victory was just a matter of time. Suddenly, Death's messenger's blade made a cracking sound. The authority of evil destruction activated. Demon-breaking power eroded the blade. After a while, Michael clasped her hands at her chest and expressed gratitude to Jae-young. "Dex, thank you. I swear by my name as Archangel Michael, I will remember this forever." Jae-young didn't expect Michael to take this matter so seriously. Notification: mythical achievement unlocked. The Demon Realm's artifact, Death's Messenger, has been destroyed. Demon Realm influence decreased by 4.3%. You acquired the title Judge of Evil. You acquired the title Heaven's Agent. Quest completed. The World Tree tainted by evil. Elven affinity rose to maximum value. You acquired the title Hero of the Elves. You acquired the title Guardian of the World Tree. At the same time, Satan in the Demon Realm sensed Death's Messenger being destroyed. Satan gnashed his teeth, roaring savagely, "That damned bastard." On the other side, Michael was humming a song, happily picking up fragments from the ground. Jae-young was confused about this. Michael explained she was afraid someone with ulterior motives would use them. Space twisted, and Satan appeared with fury, immediately questioning Michael. Michael handed over the heavy bag, then tilted the bag downward, pouring out the fragments. "Take it, the artifact you want." Satan raged. "You bastard, I'll fight you." Arcadia Customer Service Department. Myung-han had a terrible headache. Just now, the Arcadia forum focused on the ID I Love chocolate cake revealing World Tree secrets, which drew major player attention. Related game information posts and articles were published, but they were all baseless speculation and rumors. People started frantically, using various fake information to obtain intel and related quests about elves and dwarves, with naturally no results. Player dissatisfaction grew day by day. Myung-han found Myeon-lee to explain the situation and requested permission to adjust elf and dwarf affinity. Myeon-lee chose not to resolve it. The two races were mortal enemies to begin with. Only unlimited freedom creates unlimited possibilities. Even department head Myung-han couldn't change the race settings, yet one player changed them. How interesting. Destroyer's Daily's backend received countless player messages. Cho Seo-wook was amazed seeing this scene. A staff member came to report that officials wanted information on I Love chocolate cake. Cho Seo-wook raised one finger condescendingly. "If you dare leak it, you're in for it." The phone notification rang, showing a call from Destroyer's Daily. Cho Seo-wook was shocked. Then he bowed and scraped. "What can I do for you? If it's about identity information, we guarantee not to leak privacy." Jae-young said, "I saw many people's messages. Go ahead and publicly announce the dwarf and elf locations." Cho Seo-wook was shocked. After trying to dissuade him without success, he could only agree. Under the World Tree, Satan was still raging furiously. Michael had a completely indifferent attitude. "Putting on an act, you're just a stinking bat without an artifact." Jae-young watched the scene of his two divine pets fighting. Even in front of Jae-young, they didn't get along. At that moment, a notification popped up. "The World Tree requests dialogue with you. Are you willing to accept?" Looking at the notification, Jae-young guessed the World Tree indeed had self-awareness. So he chose yes. "You accepted the World Tree's invitation." Dialogue channel opened. Instantly, Jae-young was enveloped in green light, and his vision began to sway. Then Jae-young met the World Tree in the dream space. The World Tree thanked Jae-young for helping it escape the terrible magic. "Do you need something from me?" The World Tree approached Jae-young. "I have a question. Why are the leaders of heaven and the demon realm together? Who exactly are you? You're neither angel nor demon. Not an elf, not a dragon, but a human. How do you possess world-shaking power?" Hearing this, Jae-young understood. The World Tree was talking about plausibility. After Jae-young's explanation, the World Tree learned that Jae-young was regularly given mission-like tasks, and completing them earned plausibility rewards. Who gives you missions? I can normally sense divine power. Jae-young said, I don't know either. Fine. To express my gratitude, I'm giving you this precious thing. Please keep it safe, and use it at a critical moment. A fruit appeared in Jae-young's hand. Traveler Dex, can you help me with one more thing? Jae-young flatly refused. I'm just an ordinary human, I definitely can't handle it. Thinking about his nearly depleted plausibility, he couldn't cause trouble casually. The World Tree said, I don't believe that. I witnessed all your glorious achievements. Newbie killer, property destroyer, noble slaughterer, vicious necromancer, swindler, who even extorted the corruption king, saint of slimes. You're very special. There are many more strange achievements: noble judge, neutral seeker, equalitarian revolutionary, friend of dwarves, hero of elves. Having his past exposed, Jae-young looked incredulous. You, how do you know? Once again, in the name of the World Tree, I beg you, please help me. Notification, new quest scattered continent, required material dragon's heart. It turned out Arcadia was originally one massive continent called Pangea. On this continent existed stories of dragons pure as snow, taking root in harsh snowy mountains, stories of dwarves creating gold and silver treasures in the underground depths, and stories of divine and beautiful elves living in forests in peace with nature. Its scale was unimaginably vast, and supporting it was the World Tree at the continent's center. As the World Tree fell into endless slumber due to the Holy Demon War, drastic changes occurred. The continent couldn't maintain its form and gradually split apart. Jae-young thought to himself, these are things that can't be learned just from official settings and library books. So what do you need me to do? I want the scattered continent to become one again. Jae-young was utterly shocked. Arcadia Second Continent was the official name of the Arcadia server currently being played. He muttered quietly, so the favor the World Tree wants is server integration. Then Jae-young asked, how do you plan to achieve this goal? Merging the continent isn't difficult for me. The problem is I haven't recovered enough to exert such power. But there's no rush. When you have the ability, just bring me the dragon's heart I need. Jae-young's jaw nearly dropped. However, the World Tree smiled and requested, since you're getting it anyway, please get me an ancient dragon level 1 or above. I feel that level would be effective. Are you crazy? This absurd request made Jae-young break down. In the real world, Jae-young opened his eyes to see several elven faces. Jae-young slowly got up, his head aching. Recalling the notification window's high difficulty quest, he muttered, the high-tier beings in this game are all lunatics. At that moment, Melissa walked over excitedly and grabbed Jae-young's hand in excitement. Dex, the World Tree has awakened. Outside, the World Tree radiated brilliant golden light. The elves were amazed to discover the communication channel between the World Tree and the elven realm had been restored. Seeing this, Jae-young took out the fruit. Notification, mythical grade World Tree's fruit. After consumption, vitality permanently increases by 100%, stamina recovery increases by 1000%. Required material for Philosopher's Stone. It seemed everything that happened before wasn't a dream. At that moment, a little girl came to Jae-young's side and raised her hand. Mr. Peace Envoy, I have a question. Kana heard that playing with ugly people will turn you into a bad elf. Is it really okay to play with ugly creatures like dwarves? Hearing this, Jae-young broke out in a cold sweat. Who taught you that? Kana showed an innocent smile. My mommy taught me. Jae-young came to Melissa's side. Don't teach children nonsense. With the peace treaty signed, you'll see dwarves often. You should get along well in the future. After Melissa agreed, she said awkwardly, recently more and more humans have been wandering around the Amir forest. Should I treat them well too? Jae-young was dumbfounded. You're asking whether to force yourself to be friendly to ugly humans? Do as you please. I'm too lazy to care anyway. Melissa was overjoyed. Actually, I've been conflicted inside. Afterward, Melissa gathered the elves for an announcement. Everyone, prepare yourselves. Humans will soon start flooding into this village. We've never had any dealings with ugly-looking humans all this time, but the one who saved our mother, the World Tree, was Dex, a human. To repay this kindness, we elves must now open the doors of diplomacy. Meanwhile, in the Arcadia Game Forum, an exploration post about elves and dwarves sparked heated discussion among major players. However, Arcadia officials firmly stated they would absolutely not release information. In response to the game company's reply, player anger began to spread. Players desperately searched for traces of dwarves and elves just to gain massive wealth and fame. GM Grand Merchant Association, as the leader of GM Grand Merchant Association, Jaegyu Choi, mobilized massive resources to find the dwarf location. Leader, I found someone who knows the exact location of the dwarf village, but they want 100 million yuan. They originally asked for 500 million, but the negotiation team haggled it down to this amount. Jaegyu Choi slapped his hand down and agreed to the price. Starting from 500,000 gold coins and working hard until now, finally after investing massive manpower, they obtained core intelligence for 100 million yuan. On the other side, a new video was uploaded to Destroyer's daily channel. The title was publicly announcing Dwarf and Elf Village coordinates. With this, many players followed the guidance and embarked on their exploration journey. Players entering Elf and Dwarf cities began appearing continuously. A player with game level 72, profession adventurer, despite others not being optimistic, resolutely set out for the Lumel Great Desert. It couldn't be helped. Even my friends don't understand me. But is pursuing challenges in a game really that strange? The adventurer clenched his fist. Just you wait. One day I'll definitely make you see me in a new light. After traveling thousands of miles, he finally found the entrance to the dwarves' final city, Forge Sand. The adventurer opened the entrance. As soon as he entered, he was bound by a specially made capture net, completely powerless to resist. The dwarves questioned the adventurer about his intentions for intruding into their city, and prepared to throw him into the dungeon, never to see sunlight again. When the adventurer stood up, ready to fight back, the dwarves were utterly shocked. After some discussion, they released the adventurer. The adventurer was confused. What did this mean? A dwarf patted the adventurer's shoulder. You're about the same size as us, clearly one of our own. Welcome! The adventurer was speechless. Just because he was short, he'd earned free access to Forge Sand? That was absurd. But most players entering the elven and dwarven cities sparked massive controversy, with with all kinds of comments flooding the videos. The elves cared about appearance, the dwarves about height. Due to the vastly different entry requirements, this gradually formed a kind of verification culture among players. The great reveal of the elven and dwarven races. Players who successfully entered both villages rushed to publish videos. High-quality items crafted by the dwarves, secret elven magic of the elves, and methods to unlock unique class transfers only obtainable through them were gradually made public. The characteristics of the two factions were completely different, yet with restricted entry conditions, players had no real choice. Surprisingly, this impact wasn't limited to players. As massive amounts of information became available, winds of change began sweeping across the Arcadia continent. The kingdom's king dispatched envoys, hoping to establish trade relations with both races. Casual gossip among the native residents of Arcadia. Meanwhile, Jae-young was eating chips. Watching TV, he was amazed that the game could make the 9 o'clock news. The world really had changed. Suddenly, Jae-young realized something. He swallowed hard. His mouse scrolled continuously. He was shocked to discover information on the forums. Nearly all the major events in Arcadia were his doing. I was just following the plausibility quest requirements. This is so unfair. Jae-young closed his eyes, propped his chin, and sank into thought. Then he gave up. Everything was done out of necessity. As soon as he logged into Arcadia, a notification popped up. You have gained 623,123 plausibility points. Obtained item. Looking at his current remaining plausibility, 738,591 points. Jae-young smiled. Now he felt secure. The only regret was that the World Tree's fruit was a consumable item. Although he didn't know what the Sage's stone was, this should be the most important item in Arcadia to date. Then Jae-young began searching for his divine and demonic companions. Normally they'd be making a racket when I return. After a careful search, he found them standing on a large tree, critiquing something. Apparently, a player trying to sneak into the World Tree had been caught by the elves as an ugly duckling. Satan thought it deserved only 4 points. Michael felt it was too ugly and only deserved 2 points, mocking the Bat Clan's questionable taste. After a long while, Satan looked at the shattered pieces of the Death Messenger scattered on the ground. Sigh. Looks like easy repairs are out of the question. Little Tan, do you know where a dragon's heart is? Michael came to Jae-young's side, learning he'd promised the World Tree to help find one. The two divine companions were shocked. Master is really naive. Even we would have trouble getting something like that. Satan said, other body parts might be negotiable, but a dragon's heart isn't so easy to obtain. The heart is the organ that generates magic power. Not only is the magic generation efficiency terrifyingly high, but the magic storage and accumulation is unlimited. Michael continued, once dragons know their lifespan is ending, they return the magic accumulated in their hearts to nature upon death. In other words, the hearts of normally deceased dragons scatter back into nature and can't be obtained. Hearing this, Jae-young was greatly shocked. To get a dragon's heart, you'd have to raid a dragon's lair, cut off their heads, and dig out the heart directly. That's insane. To catch a dragon, even someone as strong as a descended god probably couldn't beat them. Jae-young rubbed his forehead. What about an ancient dragon? Could you catch one? Satan said, it's not completely impossible. Then he pulled out a calculator. For an ancient dragon, we're talking about at least an 8,000-year-old lizard. If I personally descend into Master's body plus bring a divine artifact, after some calculations with no other lizards or interference, winning in minimal combat time would require 123,114,444 plausibility points. Michael said, even if I personally step in, it would require at least 150 million plausibility, but heaven cannot participate in dragon slaying. Jae-young's mind raced. These words made sense. Arcadia's strongest monsters, hunting a Lord-class dragon among a species with only dozens across the entire continent. Finally, Jae-young sighed. No rush for now, we'll talk about it later. Then he set off on the road back to the village near Lumel Desert. Satan was puzzled. The dwarven territory, why go there suddenly? I have an appointment to meet a good friend. Both divine companions were shocked. Master actually has good friends? Satan said, I really don't understand humans. Someone would actually be friends with someone like Master? Little Tan, what do you mean? Doesn't Master know that the people suffering because of you could pile up into Hegan Mountain by now? Honestly, I thought you wore that mask to hide your identity because you were afraid of being caught by humans and cut into 1,000 pieces. At this moment, Michael said, going to Lumel, will we see that child again? The one who inherited Vulcanus's will? Jae-young smiled. You'll know when we get there. Lumel Great Desert. Many small vendors and players gathered here. Looking at the bustling Lumel, Jae-young's face showed disbelief. This place used to be all sand and dust. Players actually have strategies now. Collective intelligence is truly terrifying. After searching carefully, Jae-young locked onto a player. Are you Jae-kyun? Jae-kyun was moved, Dex. Jae-young, you really came. Keep it down. Didn't we agree not to use names? Having no choice, Jae-young took out a mask, concealing his true identity. Call me Restio from now on. Jae-kyun's eyes lit up. Wow, that's so badass. This is Dex. Even the character ID changed. How did you do that? Is it a disguise skill? But it can't be this perfect. Jae-young pushed Jae-kyun away with his hand. It's an item effect. And don't cling to me. Let's go now. It takes a long time to get to the dwarven village. Jae-kyun held up one finger. I already figured out how to get there. There's a merchant group called GM that goes to the dwarven village. We just need to follow them. Jae-young rubbed his forehead. Sigh. This kid just had to pick the GM merchant group. GM merchant group. I formed a grudge with them in Duke von Hern's territory. I really didn't want to get involved with them again. After all, those annoying people have massive influence in the real world too. What should I do now? Jae-kyun asked if there was a problem. The fastest departing group besides that one is just one very small merchant group. Jae-young let out a long breath. Then let's go with the other one. I have some bad blood with GM merchant group. Jae-kyun gave a thumbs up. That other group charges only 20 silver coins per person. GM charges 1 gold coin. Wait here. I'll go talk to them. Soon, they met Pie merchant group's leader Apple and vice leader Lemon, a newlywed couple. Jae-young extended his hand. Hello, my name is Restio. Please take care of us. Apple shook Jae-young's hand. Thank you for choosing us. Water and food are all prepared. We'll reach the Dwarven City in 3 days. To enter the Dwarven City forged sand, they had to break through Lumel Desert, one of Arcadia's 5 forbidden zones. Extremely hot during the day, bone-chillingly cold at night, the endless desert caused countless adventurers to lose their way. But there was an even bigger problem. The abnormally powerful monster, approaching level 160. Merchant groups crossing Lumel Desert all adopted avoidance tactics. The minimum required team composition for for a merchant group. An explorer who could detect scorpion threats and find detour routes. A mage who could use ice magic to hinder scorpion movement when encountered. And a warrior skilled at drawing maximum aggro to buy escape time. At this moment in Lumel Great Desert, a giant desert scorpion launched its third attack on Pi merchant group. The group's mage had exhausted their magic power and couldn't use ice magic. Jaekyun pointed into the distance, extremely anxious. Just as Jae-young suspected, except for the couple, all merchant group members were NPCs. Apple extended his hand, telling everyone to retreat behind the sand dune first. However, the scorpion was too fast. They couldn't take the luggage. Apple was utterly shocked. His heart pounded wildly. Was going to the dwarven city really just a fantasy? The hand gripping his longsword didn't loosen. I can't just watch the luggage get destroyed. I must at least save some of the valuable commissioned items. What does an increased death penalty matter? Lemon shouted, "No, it's dangerous. Come back, Apple." Just as the scorpion's pincer was about to strike Apple, snowflakes fell. A magical circle appeared beneath Jae-young's feet. The giant desert scorpion's pincer was frozen. Apple looked at Restio standing in front of him. "Who exactly are you?" Jae-young used divine descent, summoning the frigid witch, enchanting sorceress, using the skill frigid gaze. The scorpion's entire body was frozen in ice, though I didn't have high expectations to begin with. "But leader, you look pretty cool fighting to the very end. However, I'll charge you separately for this service. No objections, right?" Of course not. But other scorpions are coming too." Jae-young showed no fear. Running away with their tails between their legs wasn't enough. Now they're calling friends to gang up on me? Then I'll just have to kill them all. Skill Ice Blade. Terrifying attacks slaughtered the scorpion swarm. Boom. Massive shockwaves erupted. The onlookers were shocked at the scene before them to use Ice Blade in the scorching desert. Jae-young successfully eliminated all nearby desert scorpions. The god he descended was Frigid Warrior, Frostjack. Notification: you consumed 28,352 plausibility points. What? That's way too much. Satan said angrily. "Do you think you summoned some nobody? That was absolute zero. One of the absolute powerhouses of the iceberg." Apple bowed to Jae-young. "Thank you so much. I'll refund your full fare. We're too small. Due to money issues, we could only replace all our members with NPCs." Then he patted his chest. "Restio, please. Our merchant group absolutely wants to reach Forge Sand. Giving up now would be a loss, I believe." Jae-young thought it over carefully. To propose a guard arrangement in this situation. Is he betting I'll agree? With that thought, a smile appeared at the corner of Jae-young's mouth. He extended his hand. "I accept this proposal." Apple was overjoyed. He grasped Jae-young's hand. "Thank you so much." Lumel Desert, the main gate checkpoint to the dwarven city Forge Sand. Jae-young, Jaekyun, and the Pi merchant group successfully arrived. At the same time, GM merchant group arrived as well. Noisy voices attracted the attention of Apple and the others. GM merchant group members considered Pi merchant group weak. They mocked Jae-young and the other players for being poor and pathetic, only fit to be bottom feeders. The divine and demonic companions were furious at GM's words. Jae-young showed a sinister smile. "Toys delivered themselves to my door. Just wait and see." Surrounding NPCs were all discussing why the merchant groups came here. It turned out that as more and more players visited the dwarven city Forge Sand, the hidden entry requirements were revealed. As long as you traveled with merchants or merchant groups, regardless of height or appearance, they would let you in. Pi merchant group's alcohol greatly satisfied the dwarves, thus they successfully obtained permission to enter Forge Sand. The group stepped onto the road into the city. Jae-young said, "Everyone worked hard. It's time to disband." "Wait, Restio, I haven't paid you your reward yet. Let me sell these goods first." Jae-young turned around. "No need. Repay me some other way in the future." Looking at the departing backs of Jae-young and Jaekyun. "Who is that person?" Jae-young removed his mask. Dwarven leader Altair was overjoyed. "Our good friend, welcome back." Then he grasped Jae-young's hand. "Long time no see. I didn't expect you to return so quickly. So, how did it go?" "Those elves wouldn't easily sign a peace treaty." Jae-young took out the treaty. The elves decided to accept the dwarves' proposed terms. Queen Melissa of the elves personally signed an agreement. Altair held the treaty in disbelief. "This crest is indeed the symbol of elven royalty. This day has actually come. I never thought that arrogant race would actually sign a peace treaty. I'll notify the Council of Elders to prepare immediately. From now on, we'll regularly send delegations to exchange and trade with the elves." Learning that Jae-young had adjusted some of the elven trade goods, Altair opened the treaty to check. Seeing the contents, he was shocked. Not just world tree branches, leaves, roots, and sap, but even high-grade elven stones. How did you negotiate such a deal with them? To the elves, the world tree should be like a parent. Notification: successfully brokered a peace treaty between the elves and dwarves. Legendary achievement unlocked, brought peace back to 2 different races. Negotiation skill increased to level 5. Henceforth, items crafted by dwarves will have greatly enhanced performance, and friendship between dwarves and elves will greatly increase. You obtained the title. Then Jae-young left with Jaekyun. "I mainly came here to see someone." Jaekyun was confused. Who had more clout than the dwarven leader? Jae-young chuckled. "A very cute little brother." Halion Smithy Apprentice Training Center. A group of craftsmen swung their heavy hammers with all their might. Byron urged them on. "You call yourself one of the great dwarven race? I want to see results today." Then he pointed at the sword in his hand. "Human, you call this a short sword? Can't even learn the basics. How many times do I have to teach you?" The kid lifted Volcanus's hammer. "I'm sorry, I'll redo it right away." Byron casually tossed the short sword aside. "If it weren't for Dex, you'd be long gone." The kid shed tears. "I'm so tired. Big brother Dex, am I really on the right path?" After a long while, the kid successfully crafted a short sword for beginners, raising his weapon crafting skill to A rank. A voice caught his attention. "Big brother Dex, kid, how have you been? Let me see how much your smithing has improved." Notification: beginner's short sword, attack power 80 to 100, durability 500 points, can display weak points of same level monsters. The kid lowered his head sadly. "The dwarves from my batch have all moved to the next stage. I'm still making basic short swords." Yet holding the short sword, Jae-young thought, a rare grade item worth hundreds of thousands of won, a beginner item with no level restrictions actually has this kind of performance. This kid already possesses power enough to shake Arcadia's entire economy. My eye for talent was right after all. Jaekyun saw the short sword and said, "Wow, this item is amazing. This quality is about on par with a level 20 magic item, right?" The kid said, "Not really. Master says I need to at least reach uncommon grade to advance to the next stage." The divine and demonic companions praised, "This short sword is good. Faith is even infused in it. But why is the quality of weapons made by a divine artifact artifact so low? Reminded by this, Jae-young said, the divine artifact seems to have instructions. Kid, let me borrow Vulcanus's hammer for a look. A window displayed Vulcanus's hammer information. Jae-young's eyes were instantly drawn to one particular part. Stamina consumption rate when crafting equipment minus 99%. The heart and sincerity invested in the work is fully reflected. Returning the divine hammer. Kid, what were you thinking when you made that short sword? Think carefully. Were you really putting your heart into making this sword, or just treating it as a training exercise? The kid gripped the hammer, unable to speak. Kid, listen well. Arcadia isn't just a simple game. Try making it again, but this time, don't let any distracting thoughts interfere. Only think about making the best work possible. The kid swallowed, looked at his hands and murmured, put my heart into it. The sound of Vulcanus's hammer striking ore rang out. The kid's eyes were resolute as he began crafting the short sword again. Jae-kyun walked over. Feels like this will take several days. Should we leave first? Jae-kyun, I'm sorry, you go ahead. Hearing this, Jae-kyun's whole body trembled. Jae-young said, that kid believed my words and quietly walked the path of a blacksmith. Now he believes me again and picks up the hammer once more. I want to stay by his side, at least until he finishes that piece. Looking back at the kid, striking the ore even harder, his eyes were unwavering. No talent, no skill, no technique, no artistic sense. That's right, I have nothing. Whether in reality or in this world, I'm just someone who goes with the flow. But now it's different. Someone believes in me. Big brother Dex clearly knows what kind of person I am, yet still believes in me. I just want to repay that trust. As the kid's conviction deepened, Vulcanus's hammer responded to him. Notification, you have crafted equipment that will shock the entire continent. Sword of Enlightenment. The kid roared skyward. I did it. Jae-young patted the kid's head. Kid, you did it. This commotion even alerted Jack, the creator of the virtual reality Arcadia. Jae-young's notification also appeared. Your protege, IMA, has achieved a heroic accomplishment. You gained 150,000 plausibility points. Jae-young pointed at the sword in his hand. Congratulations. Looks like you finally understand what's most important when crafting equipment. The kid said happily. Thank you, big brother. Please take this short sword. Jae-young couldn't bear to refuse. Since you put it that way, I'll gratefully accept. So you'll keep staying here? Of course. There's more than just one or two items I want to make. Big brother, are you leaving? I'll come visit from time to time. If you really miss me, send me a message and I'll come find you. Yeah, big brother. Thank you again. I'll keep working hard until I become someone useful to you. Jae-young slowly walked away. He decided to implement his previous plan. Then he put on the deceiver's mask. The appearance of the elves and dwarves brought many changes to Arcadia's players. These changes even affected the entire continent, NPCs. Among them, the wealthy noble class. Because they had countless gold coins, Arcadia's economic system underwent massive transformation. The gold rush had begun. News about gold coins emerged endlessly. GM Group even began recruiting talent in the real world. After walking out from Forge Sand's main gate, Jae-young noticed the atmosphere here was different from before, and a complete merchant group guide system had been established. A GM merchant group member came before Jae-young, asking if he needed to buy a GM merchant group ticket. Seeing this person, Jae-young recalled she'd walked at the very front of GM merchant group, clearly the group's leader. Sorry, I plan to find another merchant group. The merchant group leader said, you shouldn't be short on money, right? You stayed here for a month. Are you trying to find the weak pie merchant group? A smile curved her lips. Looks like you haven't learned your lesson. Then she turned around. Fine, suit yourself, but hopefully you'll be safe this time, Restio. After returning to GM merchant group, a member asked why she bothered arguing with such a person. The merchant group leader smiled. I got intel that this guy somehow got into the dwarven smithy that's forbidden to players. If he obtained special trade deals from the dwarves, our monopoly here could be completely overturned. But to know the truth, just kill him. On the other side, the divine and demonic companions asked, Master, why didn't you kill that woman just now? Jae-young smiled broadly. Little Tan, Little Lay, I'm planning to start a merchant group. The divine and demonic companions were extremely surprised. So Jae-young approached Pie merchant group once again. Seeing Restio's brilliant smile, Apple and Lemon were very enthusiastic. Jae-young said, being alone is boring. I want to find people to talk with. The scene shifted to Pie merchant group on their return journey through Lumel Great Desert. Apple said to Jae-young, since dwarven equipment can make a lot of money, the road to Forge Sand is called the Golden Road. But small merchant groups can't make much money. We need to negotiate good prices to earn some profit. Jae-young propped his chin. To get big profits, you must transport large quantities of goods, which requires a merchant group that can mobilize lots of people. Just like GM merchant group. Apple lowered his head, that's right. Now trade with the dwarves is monopolized by GM merchant group. Recently, forget making deals. It's hard to even find people. They openly recruit powerful explorers and professional ice mages, hiring away large numbers of talent at nearly double the average pay. They want to monopolize labor to eliminate other competitors. At this moment, cries of alarm came. Leader, something's wrong. Something's running toward the front of the group. It's not monsters. It's a group of people riding lizards. Desert bandits. Jae-young understood this was GM's doing. They wanted to attack Pie merchant group. Apple was shocked. Why would GM merchant group attack us? The death penalty in this dangerous area must be taken seriously. Ownership of all held items is lost. If we die here, we'll go bankrupt. Apple roared, you bastards. Does being a big corporation give GM the right to bully the weak? The bandit group denied being GM merchant group and warned Apple not to slander GM's corporate reputation, as it might affect his real life. The surrounding laughter made Apple grit his teeth. Jae-young ignored their words. Instead, he asked Apple, with the merchant group's current combat power, it's hard to win against them, right? After receiving confirmation, Jae-young grabbed Apple's collar. Want to take some investment? Apple was puzzled. Jae-young used divine descent, summoning the glorious knight Palhan. As soon as he appeared, golden light blazed. The GM merchant group leader saw this, as expected, a dangerous person. Come on, show your true face. Apple, you said GM merchant group's bullying behavior pisses you off, right? Then I'll invest in you. Make Pie the largest merchant group in Arcadia's history. Notification, deceiver's mask removed. Apple's pupils dilated in shock. He looked at Jae-young's figure holding the longsword. The ID account displayed the character name, Dex. Dex? Could it be that guy from the bamboo spear battle? A commotion arose among the fake bandit group. Looks like we've provoked someone important, but there's only one enemy. Unlike the bamboo spear battle, don't give him a chance to counterattack. Take him down in one go. With those words, the GM merchant group leader raised her weapon. The ripple longsword pointed directly at Jae-young. Finish him. Full assault. Activate debuff skills. Activate buff skills. Then everyone charged at Jiayong. GM employees really do have skills. But too bad, Palhan is a holy warrior who excels at defense. After the holy shield switched to defense mode, it successfully blocked all attacks. You're all still too green. If you want to kill me, at least bring 100 people. Hearing the taunt, the GM merchant group leader used the flash step skill. In the blink of an eye, she appeared behind Jaeyoung. She gripped her weapon tightly, using the skill shadow step again. The weapon pierced into the shadow on the ground. Jaeyoung's defense resistance failed. He temporarily couldn't move. The GM merchant group leader commanded, everyone, don't panic. This guy's skill specifically resists magical attacks. Physical attacks work on him. Full assault. Then GM merchant group members charged with their weapons. Die, you fraud, Jaeyoung sneered. Do you really think so? Notification, activating never stopping heart, activating sacred hymn, activating quick heal. Bring out whatever tricks you have. I'll face them all. The GM merchant group leader's weapon was knocked away. At this moment, everyone recognized the gap between them and Jaeyoung, and thoughts of retreat arose. The GM merchant group leader thought to herself, these idiots, how are you supposed to run from a monster like this? Jaeyoung said calmly. Well, looks like you're done. My turn now, right? The holy shield transformed into combat mode, activating Burning Dawn Spark. A 20 Zhang tall sword phantom appeared above Jaeyoung's head. He grinned. Die. The terrifying attack unleashed vast power. Notification, you swept away a suspicious bandit group. You consumed 9,231 plausibility points. Apple shouted loudly to Jaeyoung. Thank you so much. Without you, we would have suffered huge losses. Lemon was equally grateful, not knowing how to repay him. Jaeyoung turned to look at Apple and Lemon. His thoughts swirled. The trading opportunities created by the peace treaty between dwarves and elves. He had to prevent GM Merchant Group from monopolizing those profits. You remember the investment proposal I mentioned earlier, right? Let's continue that discussion. Afterward, as they crossed the desert, Apple and Lemon told him how they started running their merchant group. The two developed from company colleagues to lovers, and shortly after marriage, their company went bankrupt. At that time, the Arcadia game launched, and they bet all their assets on founding a merchant group. Jaeyoung understood. The merchant group was both a profession and a career for this married couple. The torch burned brightly between the three of them. Jaeyoung made his decision. Then I'll invest in your merchant group. Dex, about the investment. What specific kind of investment are you talking about? Jaeyoung fell into thought. Well, I'll give you monopoly rights over the trade routes between dwarves and elves. Apple was shocked. Jaeyoung held up one finger with a smile. This way, you won't have to worry about GM merchant group people causing trouble. In return, you need to upload some game videos for me. Apple couldn't understand what Jaeyoung was saying at all. It means Pi Merchant Group exclusively transports and sells goods traded between dwarves and elves. Apple swallowed nervously. But GM Merchant Group definitely won't just sit back and watch. Even Dex can't control all their actions, right? Don't worry. From now on, dwarves and elves absolutely won't trade with anyone associated with GM Merchant Group. Apple was completely baffled, chattering on and on. You're asking why they do that, aren't you? Jaeyoung smiled. I'll make them do it. Lumel Great Desert Entrance, Base Camp 1. Jaeyoung sat facing Apple and Lemon. Notification, contract forming. Do you agree to this contract? Warning, once the contract is established, it cannot be dissolved without mutual consent. Please choose carefully. Apple looked at the contract contents with furrowed brows. Allocate 50% of Pi Merchant Group's net profits to player Dex. This contract seemed unreasonable, but without him, the merchant group would have gone bankrupt long ago. With that thought, Apple and Lemon looked at each other and nodded, choosing to trust him. Notification, Pi Merchant Group has agreed to the investment contract. Contract established. You have obtained 50% shares in Pi Merchant Group. Jaeyoung smiled. That's more like it. I guarantee you won't regret this. Then Jaeyoung tossed out a bag of gold coins. Down payment, 10,000 gold coins. Also, next time you go to the dwarven village, please bring my friend. ID name, I am African. Apple stood up. Dex, aren't you coming with us? Jaeyoung chuckled lightly. I'll be a bit busy next, because I need to properly teach certain people a lesson. Seeing the crazy Dex, Apple and Lemon made up their minds. They absolutely wouldn't dare become enemies with Dex. Destroyers Daily uploaded a new video. Before long, view count reached 1.87 million. The content mainly discussed the merchant group founded by GM Group.